Hi, you are currently being recorded.
All right, so Lars Lindstrom, team manager of the Honda HRC Progressive team. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, no worries.
I feel like we're kind of family.
Yeah. It's been together. We've been together for a minute now.
A little bit.
Yeah. What's it? 06?
2006. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We can talk about that later, but it's so cool to have you because you do a lot of these things. I hear you talking all the time, but I really feel
I
like
get made fun of a lot for doing them.
Yeah, but I mean, I get made fun of all the time too, but who cares? But I think it's just cool because you, it's kind of your personality. You're really humble and vulnerable. You like put it all out there. You're like, hey, this is who I am. You're not trying to be, hey, I'm team manager Lars here, and then I'm Lars Lindstrom over here. It's like you're the same guy.
I definitely try to be, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it shows, and it's kind of, you're very approachable, and it's I love your style of just like, there's no ego into what you're doing. It doesn't seem like there is anyway. And it's like the guys that preceded you were just like, not that they had egos, but there was like this, oh man, that's the Honda team manager. Oh, Kehoe's gnarly. Yeah. He's not letting anybody in the track today, or Cliff White or any of those guys in the past. It's
I need more of that for sure. The guys before me were badasses.
Yeah, I think you've eclipsed them with what you've been doing in the last 5 years. It's been 5 years now?
22. Yeah, it's fifth season. I guess, is it fifth season, fourth season?
It seems like
fifth season
since COVID, right? It was
22 was my first year.
Okay.
Yeah, because we won. I just remember being at Hangtown and Jet winning that first title for us that we hadn't had in a long time as a factory team. And then Kehoe told me there maybe that things were going to be different this year, so next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's right. He was team manager then. That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody had masks on. I don't remember what anybody looked like.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You remember wearing the masks outside?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, dude.
That was a rough summer.
Yeah, I bet it was. So anyway, everybody gets a gift that comes.
Sweet.
I got you a gift. It's not super expensive, but I thought it was kind of fun. Let me pull this thing out here.
Is it an exhaust pipe?
No, but it's got one.
Oh, no way.
So I always think of you and Chad's team with the red pants.
Yep.
The shift gear, like.
Yep.
When that thing came, it was just like so like, oh my gosh, dude, Chad is just like going crazy, like going team. They look sick, and you were a part of that effort, obviously. How did you? So you worked for? We can talk about that now, I guess. But you were working for American Honda, right? And then Chad hired you away to work for his team, right? You didn't work for Honda when you were working for Chad.
Correct. Yeah. I was working for Honda. I had done a couple different things. But I guess my main job at the time was what we called the whale guy, which is the test mechanic. And, you drive the big white whale test truck that we have, and we still have it. And so that was like my main job. And, at the same time, I would help with other things in the shop. And at the time, I got to do a lot of cool, like learning how to machine. That's one cool thing about our team is that we still allow the guys in the shop, whether it's a mechanic or the parts coordinator or the engine guys, if they want to learn and how to machine stuff, we have a small but cool machine shop where we have, lathes and a mill and a half CNC mill on top of that, and welders and grinders and stuff. So you can really learn a lot there, and that's what I did. I kind of just was trying to learn things like that while I was also being a test mechanic. So going to the races as an extra guy, but I'd already been a mechanic for like, Wyndham, and when McGrath raced, I helped him and some other stuff. But it was basically, we were at Paris testing with Josh Grant, his first time maybe riding our bike when we had just signed him. And I got a call from Chad and at the track there, and he's like, yeah, I'm starting my own team. I'd like to, talk to you about working for me next year. And that was the first time that I talked to him, and went and met him at a California pizza kitchen in like Long Beach.
No way.
Yeah.
So you had no relationship kind of with
Not really.
Like
I knew
you
a little
weren't
bit.
buds.
You know what? I forgot that he had asked to borrow a Honda from American Honda just to test with. I think he had raced one in Australia. I could be getting the cart before the horse. I'm not sure which happened first, but either way, he called and asked Honda if he could borrow that. They said, yeah. I think Kehoe actually was the one that was like, hey, Lars, go out to the test track, Supercross track in Corona, and just kind of help out. Like Mitch Payton was there. I knew Mitch Payton a little bit because my dad, and Bones was there, and then Chad, and then I think Dave O had been hired at that point because I remember him there, like looking in the box van.
And Dave was the team manager.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So
that wasn't your role. You were crew chief?
I was mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah, I was Chad's race mechanic.
Got it.
And I ended up doing a lot of other things that a normal race mechanic nowadays wouldn't do. But basically I helped them out. That we tested all day. It was cool, because I'm a fan of all the top guys, right? Like I'm not, I'm not immune to not being a fan, so just kind of cool to be around Chad Reed and and see how he was, and he was cool that day, and I helped out and worked on the bike and did all these things, and then he ended up offering me the position.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, he came close. He was on fire. Was it 11 or 12? Like, he got injured in the whoops. I think it was in Dallas or something.
It was like a sand section that it was kind of like a maybe like a sharp double into like a sand roller section.
Yeah.
And
right before that happened.
Yeah.
Dude, he was like, this guy's going to win the title, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he had caught, and I think I can't remember if he won LA Coliseum. And we had the red plate at one of the Anaheims, maybe Anaheim 2, or maybe if there was 3 of that year. And he was right there, and he caught Villapoto, and they were just starting to battle. And it was like nobody caught Villapoto at that point, at that time. And then he did, and then he endoed, but it wasn't so much that he endoed, like he probably would have been okay, but I could be wrong, but I think he caught his foot under the shifter or something like that, and then he couldn't get out of it, and then he endoed, and then it pulled his leg because it was stuck, and it tore his ACL. So that was it. But 11, we got within a couple points of winning the Supercross championship, and most of that season was on our privateer Honda, and then the last 2 rounds were factory bike, and then it was really, and that one came down to Salt Lake the week before. It was James, RV, and us. And James endoed in the whoops, did like a front flip, and he kind of was out. And RV just stayed just ahead of Chad the whole race from what I remember. Yeah. And it was like kind of like one of those yo-yo type things. And we knew we had to beat RV at that one because he had like it was a 2-point gap or 3-point gap, whatever. So we knew that if we maybe something like that, whatever. And if we beat him, then we'd go into the last round like winner take all, kind of like it was this year. But RV beat him and then had like a 5 or 6 point gap. I feel like enough to where if we won, RV only had to get third, so maybe it was 7 or something. And then sure enough, the last race we won, and RV just cruised around for third, and we battled with Dungey for the win.
Oh my gosh!
So almost won that, and then was leading the outdoor championship until the Chatapult.
Yeah,
and then that.
Oh, that was 12.
Yeah, that was 11.
That was 11.
Both of those were 11.
Okay.
And then 12, he came in. Bike was great. He was great. That was this bike right here.
Yeah.
And that's when we had red pants, and the whole look was killer.
It was.
Yeah. And a lot of people gave us heat for the red pants, but
man,
it was cool.
Everybody remembers that.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a Ducati, Ferrari type of look. Yeah. So thank you. That's bitching.
Yeah. I was just, I have this sneaky suspicion. I think maybe Chad could have won that title if he had a Yosh exhaust on the bike. But
yep.
I'm biased. But I just saw it and I was like, what do you get a guy that can probably have anything he wants? I'm like, well, maybe he needs a Chad Reed toy to stick on his desk to remember.
Oh, that's funny. The guys, I'm sure, will give me a lot of heat for that one.
Yeah. Well, they make them wear red pants then.
Yeah, right. We talked about doing something like that. It'd be kind of funny.
Yeah. So anyway, let's start from the beginning. Like, where were you born? Because you really speak a lot of Swedish, right? Like you're pretty fluent in Swedish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born in Westlake Village in California.
Okay. And have you lived in the U.S. your whole life?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. But my mom and dad were born in Sweden. My brothers were born in Sweden, and me and my sister were born here. My dad came over here to race with Husqvarna. Mm-hmm. And, I shouldn't say he came over to race. He came over to be a kind of marketing guy for Husky and kind of prove the product with a couple other guys and do that. And he was kind of also, he was an engineer, so he raced and worked on the bike and did all that and developed it with the guys there. But then at this time he was coming over, he went to New Zealand, I think, or Australia first, and one of those first, and then ended up meeting someone like, I think, Jan Roberts, and could have been Malcolm Smith, but I think it was Jan Roberts, and they invited him to come to California, and then he came and raced Baja and the Mint 400. I think they won both.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then, so, and then ended up staying, and they went back and forth for a while, and then ended up staying, and then, and yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would go back, every summer for the whole summer with my mom and my sister and my brothers. And at some point, my brothers, they're 10 and 8 years older than I am. So they would end up staying here in the summer, and me and my sister would go with my mom, and then we would.
How come you guys didn't go in the winter?
Yeah, we basically, like, the last day of school, we were out of there.
Yeah,
and then we came back right before school started. So the entire summer.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Yeah, obviously winters are a little rough in Sweden and dark, but the summers
it's always
are like,
the summertime.
the summers in Sweden are the best. So it's
do they have mosquitoes there? Because they invented mosquitoes in Florida.
Yeah, it's definitely not like that. It's not humid. It's cool. It's rare. I mean, it's warm, but it's I'm trying to think of it. What it would be more like. I think it's more like Washougal. Like it gets warm, but not like hot and humid and crappy like that. But it definitely rains more than it does here, and it has those days. So, but everybody's so stoked that it's, there's actually sun and stuff, and that, it's light pretty much, 20 hours of the day. Yeah. That everybody's in a good mood. And so we got to be there for that, which is awesome. And we still speak Swedish. Yeah. As a family, because both my parents, are from there. And my mom was pretty rock solid that we were going to speak Swedish.
That's cool. So, I learned that, I guess your dad was 40 years old when you were born.
Yeah.
Wow. That's,
yeah. I mean, he's got with 4 of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess he was 30 when
and your brother's 8 and 10, 10 years older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was 30 when my brother was born for this first kid. And then there's a little bit of a gap there. And then me and my sister.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and so then a little bit difficult to go riding with your dad, or was he over it at the time, or how did you get into dirt bikes? Like,
well, I mean, I when my brothers were little, my dad was still riding, to a certain extent. I think he was done racing, but for the most part. But he worked at like Dirt Rider magazine. He took that job, Dirt Bike magazine, and he was an editor there. And he's a Swedish guy, so he learned how to do. He wanted to do that, I think he said, because he wanted to learn how to write more in English and be a photographer and learn how to do all that. So he did. I mean, like second language, and
that was back before like you could did digital stuff. You could just like, I didn't take a good picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're shooting film and you better get it right because you'll know next week when it gets developed, right?
Yeah. And so he did that and learned a lot, and then did a lot of testing. So he was riding, and then when he took the job for Honda, and ended up becoming the team manager in '79, and my brothers were, like I said, would have been like 9 and 7. They got to hang out at the races, or maybe not so much races, but definitely in testing and stuff like that with like Johnny O'Mara and Chuck Sun and like all those guys. So they have memories of that. And then they rode Honda Land when it was out in Simi Valley in their teens. So they got a lot of that. But when I came around, I don't think it was really like my
dad's all dried up.
Yeah, I don't think my dad's wish was that I'd be into moto, but because I know that we did some go-karting and tried to do some stuff like that, and he didn't really. I got probably to hang out with him a little bit more than maybe like my brothers at some point, because at some point there, my dad moved to the auto division in '81 or something like that, and then he was going to doing big work trips for a while there, and. But when I came around, he basically was, not doing too much traveling other than the Japan trips or whatever you do. But I got to see him quite a bit. But I don't think riding moto was not on his list of things that he wanted me to do. I don't think. Yeah. But watching my brothers and how much they were into moto and being around Honda, like I don't think there was much of a choice there. I was always going to be into moto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research. You had your first bike was a 91 CR80. Is that right?
Real bike, yeah. Like my first.
I mean, did you have a Trail 70 or something before that, or?
Well, we had. My dad hates mini bikes, like PW50s. I mean, maybe not now. I shouldn't say that. Like I said, I have no idea if he still does. But he had no interest in us going like PW50s or Z50s or any of that. And so we had a ATC 70.
Okay.
And that was like where we rode in the backyard and learned how to, ride, I guess, and use a throttle.
Yeah. Hey, if you could survive the death machine, you're good to go.
Yeah. So there's that. And then we had, and then when I was big enough, we had XR80s.
Okay.
And so we had a little bit of a room in the backyard, which is cool because it's the same house now. I bought that house.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I have a little track in the backyard now, even better than it was then. But,
that's cool.
Because we were, my sister was into horses and my mom made that happen for her. So they had kind of horses and, whatever on our property there. And, but yeah, so we got to ride in the backyard. Then when I got big enough to ride a 80, we got to do that. So then, but my first real bike, my own bike, was a 91 CR80 bought from Jim O'Neill.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
it was used.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But it was sweet, it was in good condition and I just needed to learn how to ride, I didn't know. So my brothers were already racing, and pretty good. I think they were both top intermediates at the time and maybe even my brother had turned pro at that point. But, so yeah, I had a little catching up to do, but yeah, that's the first bike I got. A real good bike that I had. Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like, it's just the DNA of dirt bikes and Hondas, like, in your family. It's just nuts, dude. Like, I mean, you can't script that stuff. It's so cool. When you were younger, did you have any idea, like, what you wanted to do when you were going to school? You're like,
not one
I want to be an engineer or I want to serve pizza or whatever. Like, you were just floating with the wind?
Yeah, I was a dumb kid, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I knew I liked riding dirt bikes. I knew I liked, hanging out with my friends and surfing and doing those kind of things. But I had a hard time knowing what I was going to do. At one point, I thought I wanted to be a fighter pilot. So I remember I took a trip to Vandenberg Air Force Base and with the recruiting, whatever, and checked it all out. But my mom told me, you'll never do that because you have a knee injury. You could never be a fighter.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, so she killed that dream for me. And then find out later it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. But obviously it turned out for the better. But I did a bunch of random jobs when I was in high school, things like that. But unfortunately, I didn't have, like, some people have, like, the direction pretty early of, I want to go to college and do this and get that or start working as whatever. Mm-hmm. And man, I didn't really have that. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but I kind of fell into this industry. I didn't want to be a mechanic.
Yeah.
I like riding dirt bikes. I didn't really love working on them.
What was that? So you went into high school, like, what was the transition? When did you start working for Honda? Like, you were riding and racing kind of sporadically through the 90s and then how did it start working for Honda?
Well, yeah,
or was there stuff before that?
Well, I mean, I was riding and racing, and then when I was like,
because I remember early on, like when I was at Answer, I think you were Ernie's practice mechanic, Ernesto's.
I just would work on his practice bikes when I worked at Honda, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just like I would work for
But
anybody.
you were at Honda at that time.
Yeah. Because I mean, basically what happened was, like, I blew my left knee out when I was like, I think I was 14. So at least 14. And I tore my meniscus real bad and they removed a big chunk of it. And I had, it took me a while to get back going again. And then I hadn't been, I think I took some time off then from what I can remember. And then I came back and I was like 16 and then I tore my right knee bad.
Oh, dude.
And so I already had 2 bad knee injuries before 16, So that really set me back. And after
definitely
that
not going to be a jet pilot then.
Yeah, exactly.
Both knees.
Yep. And even though my right one was torn, like the way that it like damaged it, like I had to have emergency surgery like the next day. And it actually healed better. Like my meniscus didn't get that much damage, if any. The way that it tore, it was like it pulled bone apart rather, so they could fix that.
Oh,
so
wow.
It healed better. It's actually my better knee than my left knee.
Is there still some meniscus in there?
My right knee, yeah. My left knee is getting to that point where, I'm going to have to start thinking about a knee replacement in the future, but I'm 45, just turned 45. So, I'm hoping to push that off as long as I can. It's been all right. So, but basically,
it's funny, I was talking to MC about it because my right knee's getting at that that point. And my knee doctor's like, hey man, there's only so much tread on your knee, and when it wears out, it's gone. And I'm like, yeah, I'll wait. It's good. I'm waiting for better technology. And I was asking MC, I'm like, dude, how's the knee? He's like, dude, every time I ask him, he's like, it's the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says that to me too. Yeah. He's like, do it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little worried. The only thing is that, once you wear that one out, then after that, it's harder to do it again.
Yeah. The knee doctor I'm talking to, he's like, dude, you're going to be 120 years old and you ain't wearing this knee out because the technology and the materials they're using.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's not like 10 years ago.
Right.
It's next level stuff.
Yeah. I have to look at it again, but yeah, I basically,
I'm the knee salesman here.
So yes, I did that. And then, I took a break after that for a while. And that's when I was kind of just starting to hang out with my buddies in high school. And, my buddies that I had at that point were into, surfing and stuff like that, snowboarding, all those kind of like sports. And
were you into moto at the time at all? Did you follow it? Did you like?
Yeah, I did. But I wasn't really riding so much. So I'm sure I was following it, but at that point, there wasn't like a ton of material either, like get cycle news on Wednesday and look through that, I guess. But, but then I started getting the itch, and then I think I kind of like reunited with my best friends and, from junior high. He went to a different high school, and then, so we didn't really get to hang out very much. And then he became really cool. My friend Justin, by the way, Aker, just to call him out, he became real cool at that point, but he was like getting the chicks, and he was cool. And, but then, he kind of like, we ended up meeting up again and getting in the same circle, going to, high school parties. And then I think me and him both kind of got back into moto, and cause me and him had ridden 80s and stuff like that.
And at this time, it's like, is your knees getting better, not good enough to ride and stuff?
Yeah. At some point there, maybe 16, 17, I most of junior high and my senior year, probably I maybe started getting back into it. I can't remember exactly, but we were doing all that other stuff too and having a good time. So then, anyways, then I started riding more, and I was getting a little bit better. And it was probably when I was out of high school, like 18 years old, 19. I wanted to ride a 250 two-stroke, and I knew some of the guys down at the shop, and through my dad, just being through the shop, and I knew Goose a little bit because we were local. At the time,
did your dad have any affiliation with Honda still, or no?
Yeah, he worked for Honda. He ended up working for Honda for another 30 years.
Okay,
but in the automotive side, okay. Yeah. And my dad is not the kind of guy that would ask favors. He does not want to bother even me now. He doesn't want to interrupt me or take my time because he thinks he's pretty humble like that. So
that's where you get it from. His dad. See, kids, listen to your pops.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. And so anyways, but I got the connection with Ron Wood, and he was the kind of like the test mechanic / engine guy. And he was going to take on the four-stroke engine and be the guy there. And he needed help. So he's like, hey, I'll let you borrow a CR250, but you got to help me in the meantime while we're waiting for parts. And so I had to build this bike out of parts. I remember the engine was a brand new production engine that came out of Ryan Hughes' bike, and he had got a factory engine, and he was coming from Europe and riding. So I built this bike out of parts. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was at Honda, I was at factory shop. So me and Justin came down there with me to do that. And then I basically kind of fell in love with the place and the guys, and Ron was awesome. Goose and those guys, when they were there, because they were going to the races, Goose and Shane Drew and Brad and Cliff White and those guys. Maybe Cliff White I didn't fall in love with right away because he's a tough dude, but I ended up
he's got a little bit of a hard exterior.
Yeah, it took a while to break through that shell, but once he did, he was awesome. And then the road race guys were all down there. Nicky Hayden was racing. And Miguel doing well.
Program run out of the shop.
Yeah, it was all there, So I was like, man, it was a lot to take in and learn, and so I kind of fell in love with it that way, and then started seeing how being a factory mechanic, how cool that was. These guys had all these killer stories about.
They're never home. They can't they never do their laundry. They can't go to the DMV.
Yeah,
they got no time.
It was a way to they were getting paid pretty good money, pretty quickly, without having to go through college, and which I did college a little bit, but not that long, And so then it just seemed like a really cool lifestyle. And they're, you know, like I said, they're coming back with stories from being in Europe and Japan and you know, all the nationals and the supercrosses. And it just like, man, you know, it was like, I could do that, or, you know, I think that would be awesome. Yeah. So then I started kind of getting more interest in actually learning how to be a mechanic and, you know, learning how the engines and bikes work and all the hard work. I was a pretty freaking lazy kid. I'm sure all those guys at the time, they're probably looking at me now going like, how the hell did that happen? Yeah. But I grew up a lot and they taught me a lot, you know, not just in how to work on a bike, but also in work ethic and how to be a,
but it's cool because you wanted it, right? Like it wasn't like there wasn't forcing it down your throat. You're probably like a sponge.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, once I got in there and kind of saw how everything was and, you know, started like, understanding the whole program or whatever, it was cool, you know? So I'm like, dude, this is pretty rad. I could do this and that'd be fun. And then, and also like thicken my skin up a lot, you know, cause, you know, I'd never been around, well, I mean, I guess a little bit, but like, I hadn't grown up in that kind of environment where people are talking crap and
saying they're probably that's all they're doing, right?
Oh yeah, you know, and so yeah, I like I said, I grew up and learned a lot during that time.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember this is probably 2004. Yeah, when Ernesto was on team and I was a dancer, and one thing, there was that stupid bird virus thing going on, SARS. He would always call you SARS because Ernesto had nicknames for everybody.
Yeah, he still does.
And he always calls you SARS. I was like, that's the first time I ever
They still call me that sometimes. Yeah, Ernie calls me that for sure.
All the time.
Ricky calls me that.
Oh, he does?
Oh yeah. And that was our parts guy, Brad Chapman, too. He was the one that started that, I believe.
Oh, he did.
And I remember him being in the parts room, and Ernie called about something. He's like, "Hey, next time you see Lars, call him SARS." And I'm like, "Great," you know.
The SARS virus was big in the early 2000s.
Yeah. And what are you gonna do, right? You can't let people know that it bothers you, or else you just get it.
That's
more,
part of
right?
that thick skin, right?
Yeah,
like,
you got to just take it and pretend like it's fine.
So did you do some practice stuff for RC then? His bike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2004.
That's pretty cool because Goose obviously was at the races with him.
Yeah.
And then were you in Florida with him or was it stuff here?
Rarely. Yeah. Okay. I did go to Florida a few times. Like I went there actually, which would be this week because it's before Southwick. And you know, the Big Rick, his dad, he
did a lot of stuff too.
He did
right?
his
like
stuff.
He was a mechanic.
He was a mechanic, yeah. But, you know, he had, it was just a lot before Southwick. You know, he's riding his sand track and just blowing through parts. And, you know, actually it was kind of cool. Like they had, during that time, like he would do his 35 or even a 40 maybe. I can't remember if he was doing 40s. And the air filter would get so clogged that they would like, you know, 25 minutes in, the bike would start slowing down and just not getting air, you know, and whatever. And so they had a kind of a cool little system where they would take a filter skin or like a little sock, and they would put that over the top of the filter, and they'd take fishing wire and they'd run it through the back fender with a piece of tape. And then Ricky, 20 minutes in or whatever, would kind of like go down the start straight or wherever, and then go back, reach and pull that thing and pull the sock off.
Not even stop.
I'd keep going. Yeah, it was cool.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, and then the bike would run good, you know, for another
10 minutes.
Yeah. So that week, I remember it was really tough for them. So I went down there for the week and like basically made sure, and his bike was bitching, you know, like serviced it completely. I think he had always had 2 bikes. So 2 bikes, and then wash it really nice, take the whole, you know, air box off and make sure everything was perfect. And so that was kind of like my first experience of getting to go do cool stuff like that with Ricky, you know, and I got to stay at his house and, you know, like became a little bit more buddies with him. You know,
I kind of feel like when you're on the inside with RC and his family, you're on the inside.
Yeah.
Like you're part of the thing. If you're on the outside, you're on the outside. But if you're on the inside, just like
I got
nicknames,
I got a little bit in there. Yeah, I got a little bit in there. Not completely at the time, probably, but yeah, good, cool stuff that you never get to do. And like one thing I remember is there was a game on PlayStation, World of Outlaws, and Ricky had it, and I had it at home. So when he had it, we're racing, and I would smoke him. And he's like, "Dude, you have to race against Brownie because Brownie is the shit. Like nobody beats him or whatever." So then Brownie came that week to ride because they rode together, And Brownie did some real sprint car stuff apparently back or whatever. And so we raced and I beat him too. And Ricky's like rubbing his hands, goes, "See, dude, see." And then and Brownie's like, he's cheating.
He's cheating.
And so like that, those are little things that I remember that were like, I'd never been around those guys in that environment.
Yeah.
You know, that much, just us.
Mm-hmm.
So cool things that I, stick in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I just, obviously Ricky's setup back then was so funky, dude. The bars way back, the seat foam completely cut out, right? Like he barely had any foam in that seat. And I think, wasn't his shock cut down a lot too? Like the whole bike was lowered, right?
Super low, yeah. And actually, I don't know if it was, or I guess I wasn't really involved too much with like the technical part of all the setup, but as far as shock being cut. But I mean, for sure, his subframe, we just talked about this other day, like we'll cut our subframes now like 5 mil, or like when Kenny was here, like 2.5 mil or something, like whatever. And it was like, 5 mil. I mean, we were cutting Ricky's subframe, like 30 mil. I mean, it was massive. And then the low seat too on top of that. And then
it's amazing he made that motorcycle work.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Yeah, super soft shock and extremely slow rebound. Like extremely slow. So that's why you would always see a thing get really low and then kick or whatever. But it never really would kick that much, because it was so freaking small at the back, like he could control it. But yeah, it was a wild setup for sure.
Wow, that's crazy. So you're still working at Honda 04, 05, 06, 07, right? Like what are you doing there? Just the same thing, just driving the big whale around, or just being hands-on?
Well, I mean, at first I wasn't even, like I was just kind of doing whatever they needed, like literally pushing the berm around. Yeah. Right? And learning, cutting apart wheels and taking apart bikes and, recycling. Excuse me. Helping the parts guy, Brad, quite a bit. Like I did parts for like 2 years, like helping with him. I still know Honda part numbers like that, It's kind of funny. But, so I would help him like with the, like organizing and picking up parts and doing all that stuff. But then I got to be the test truck driver and mechanic. And I think that was probably around 03.
Okay.
And so, the one thing that I guess I can remember is that like, Wyndham had, come back and was going to ride outdoors on a 450. And, so we'd go testing and, I remember specifically testing at McGrath's, place out in, towards Kihia. I forget what it's called. But, he had a cool track out there that we tested at. And
it wasn't MX Compound, was it?
No, it was closer than that. Okay. I actually never went to MX Compound, but those guys tested there all the time before me.
I heard it was the gnarliest place, dude. Like I remember MC telling me like, he said this. I don't think we talked about it on our podcast, but he's like, dude, the fast guys aren't going to come from California anymore. He was saying this like late 90s. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, they want perfect tracks and blah, blah. And he was telling me about MX Compound. He's like, dude, that's the gnarliest place you'll ever ride a motorcycle. Yeah. Like just beat you to death. Like, and if you ride there, you can go to Glen Helen. It's like glass,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that I know that we did a lot of our testing out there. But like I said, that was kind of before me, I guess, because we never really went there after that. But anyways, when we tested there was the first time I met McGrath too. I'm pretty sure. Because that was when they kind of like repaired a little bit of damage. Like, like he was like not a Honda fan after those years. I can't remember exactly whatever. I guess that whole thing in 97 was never really repaired until like 2003.
Okay.
From what I can tell. And I've probably talked to him about this too at some point, but he let us test out there. He had split with the KTM thing he had going on, and he had bought a Honda, and then he bought all these different ones because he just wanted to ride and have fun.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's like, dude, I wasn't affiliated with it. Just buy any bike I wanted, and
so he had that, and so we went out there and tested on his track, and it was Ricky and Kevin on a 450, Ricky on a 250 two-stroke, and those were cool times because Kevin was my favorite style rider of my whole, like he was the guy I looked up to as far as that's what I want to look like on a bike when I ride. And then Ricky was Ricky, like baddest dude ever. And then there's Jeremy, who's like my all-time idol.
Yeah.
and I'm there talking to him and getting to work and stuff. So yeah, for me, he was kind of wild. Yeah.
That's cool.
But that's when I was driving the Whale and doing that. And then I did that. And then Jeremy started testing for us. And when we would go testing, I was there. So then we did I believe at that time, we did a ton of tire testing with Dunlop. And so me and Jeremy and Brian Fleck would be out there, and one of the Japanese engineers from Dunlop would be tire testing in July and August in Corona, which sucked because it was so damn hot. And but we got to spend a lot of time. And so when Jeremy wanted to do a one-off race in end of 04, and then when he did his 05 stuff, like he asked me if I wanted to be the mechanic, which was another dream come true.
Did you work on that supermoto thing with him, or is that a Troy Lee? Okay.
Yeah, that was us. And,
I told him that was the one time he used Yosh. I saw one of the supermoto bikes he has. It's at Barber. It was in the basement, and I'm like, dude, that's MC's bike, and it had our exhaust on. And I'm like, dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
06? I think 06, 07, we did X Games.
Yeah, it was an X Games bike, maybe.
And 06, we did it with Bostrom too, the 03 season. They had like a world championship, one event, and Ben won. And that worked. I helped with that project too a little bit. Okay. And that was we had White Brothers. Okay. And then, what was that, 05? We switched to Yosh.
End of 05. I think we started, I don't remember the whole, obviously I wasn't here, but I guess that, there was signs of the White Brothers thing not happening. And so maybe Honda came to Yosh early, maybe mid 05 or something, and started talking. And then we were testing already in the fall with Honda, I think, for exhaust. So.
Yeah. Cause, that was awesome because, the X Games thing, we had wheel changes and all that kind of stuff. So we did a bunch of stuff with the road race team. Mm-hmm. And, that was a great time. Yeah. That was very cool. But yeah, all of that, Jeremy's part-time stuff, I got to help with them. That was like the first time I got to be like a real mechanic. Maybe the first time ever was Nicky Hayden though, at dirt track in down in Corona. No, not Corona Del Mar. Down in San Diego down there, there's a
it's Corona Del Mar. It's Del Mar Fairgrounds?
Del Mar Fairgrounds, yeah. Yep. And so yeah, that was kind of like the first time. And so like
did you not have a mechanic, like it was a separate thing for the flat track thing or something?
Yeah, and the road race mechanics either didn't have time or they weren't used to moto, Yeah. He did have like one of his flat track experts that came from Kentucky, I believe. That guy came and helped, but he rode like a Harley too. He rode a Honda 450 in the whatever class that was, 450 class.
750.
The full gnarly, full on dirt track on the mile. And did that. That was cool. And then
that's when men were men.
Yeah, I mean, those things, you got to have some big balls.
Dude, back that thing in?
Yeah. They rip down those straightaways, and they're old school technology, like no front brake and just...
The torque that thing was probably putting out.
Yeah, I think they do like 120 down the straightaway, and then they just...
With no front brake.
Put it inside.
And you as a dirt bike guy, that's where all the power is, right? That's how you stop the bike.
Yeah. You got that's a lot of... getting used to for sure. But he rode the short track the night before, I think, and almost won. He got second. He should have won. Came through the pack, and so it was awesome to be a part of that. But first times I got to be a mechanic were for him, and then for Jeremy. So cool for a kid, that has never been a mechanic.
I mean, dude, you got to wrench on Nicky Hayden's bike.
And become buddies with him because we were the same age. Me, Ernesto and Nicky were within a couple months of each other. Okay. And
I know when Ernesto, when he won the world championship, the GP, he was there when it happened and everything. It was a big deal for the US guy to win that, dude.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And Nicky and Ernie were pretty tight. And they're both, like I said, almost exact same age and both riding factory Honda. And when they would go to those dealer conventions, I think they were hanging out. Mm-hmm. And Ernie's one of the funniest dudes ever.
Dude. So if you know Ernesto Fonseca, you know what we're talking about. That dude can make fun of anything.
Oh, you got to have him on here too, and get him, be his real self.
Yeah.
Oh, he's hilarious.
If he would come on and be Ernesto. Dude.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's so funny.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I got to work with all those guys, which was super lucky, obviously, to be able to do that.
Yeah. And then so mid 2000s, you're still driving the big rig and stuff, and you're wrenching on people's bikes.
Yeah, doing.
You're kind of just a sporadic, hey, Lars, go over here and reach for this guy. Hey, do this, do that.
Well, it was kind of I think my main job was, I was still helping with parts, I believe. and I was in charge of the test truck, so that thing had to be ready to go whenever. And we tested a lot in California. Now we don't test so much in California because the Lawrences have their killer compound in Florida. But we still tested a lot, whether it would be Supercross. I mean, the amount of time I spent at the Corona Supercross track is unbelievable. I would happily never go there again. So I did a lot of that. And then when I wasn't doing that, I mean, I would help with parts, and I would rebuild test and practice bikes. Probably my main job was doing that, I think. And then helping the other guys and trying to learn how to do stuff in the machine shop maybe. And we had some really good guys at the time too.
It's cool because Honda attracts a lot of talented people, right? So it's kind of cool. You got to learn how to do machining and all this stuff from different people, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking about Ricky. You probably learned a lot about building wiring harnesses from even then, right?
Yeah, I mean, later on, yeah, for sure. And like, Cliff White, he was really smart. Goose was really good at figuring out things and building things, and getting solutions to problems and diagnosing. Mm-hmm. And then Shane Drew too. Shane's a great machinist. And then
Shane's a holdout, dude. Like that guy, like he's been around forever. He loved
he's passionate. Sure.
Dude, he could probably retire now if he wanted to, but you can like when you look at him around the truck, he's into it, man.
Oh yeah, no,
he's always stoked to see everybody high fiving. Like
he's dedicated for sure. And he'll never retire. I think he'll drop dead on the job. 100%. But he's awesome because he's just absolutely all in, which is rad. And then but we had Tom Job was the machinist we had at the time, a fabricator, and he was the older retired guy that just did it because I think he didn't have much else going on, so he would work from like 7:30 to 3 or 2 or something, and he's out of there. And he was one of those old machinists, kind of a grumpy old guy, whatever. Yeah. But if you were on his good side, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And so I always, if you treat him with respect and really listen to him and whatever, all that stuff, he usually liked you. So luckily he liked me and taught me a bunch. It was awesome.
So then all the way up until you get the call from Chad, huh? You were doing that.
I was doing that, and then 2007, I worked for Wyndham.
Okay.
For the whole season. Yep. Okay. And at the end of the season, I don't know his contract exactly, but it was basically he had a full factory bike, but under the Factory Connection truck. Uh-huh. And after that, they changed his deal to where Factory Connection was going to do everything. He was going to get factory suspension and factory triple clamps and some chassis stuff, but like the engine and the carburetor and like a lot of those things I think were going to be done by Factory Connection for the 2008 season. So then I had to make a choice whether I wanted to go with him, which I wanted to because it was Kevin Wyndham, like my hero, and go to and leave American Honda and work for Factory Connection. I still live in Thousand Oaks. So Thousand Oaks to Torrance is like 53 miles, and it's not the best drive in the world by any means. But
it's a lot better than driving a Corona.
But the Corona was like 80 miles, and it was one of those everyday kind of things, and just I didn't know how long Kevin at the time. You don't know how long he's going to race. I mean, he was almost going to retire in 2002, or whatever it was. So I think I decided to stay with American Honda. It's a lot of just what do you call it? It was just very secure, you know? And so I ended up staying there and then doing more test job stuff and doing that thing.
Around then, like, who's the boss? Who's your boss at Honda then?
Kehoe.
Okay.
Yeah, Kehoe. Kehoe came in for the 2002 season.
Yeah. When you got the Tortelli, Ernesto, Ramsey. Right?
Tortelli we already had. When we got Ricky, we got Ramsey and Ernesto.
Yeah.
And
I remember I was at that photo shoot that year, the team, me and Cudby at Castillo's Ranch.
Oh, yeah?
Dude, I was like, look at this team. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, 2002, yeah. Oh, that's right, because Ernie was answer, huh?
Yep. No, not then he wasn't, but I was just helping Simon.
Oh,
because we've been buds forever.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, come and assist me for me here, and built that big jump down in the valley. I remember
the big double.
Yep.
That was cool. Yeah, and then at that point, that was Eric's first year. End of 01, going into 02.
Because he came from Yamaha Troy, right?
Yep. So we got Ricky, and we got those Ramsey and Ernie, and we got Eric at the same time. As far as I can remember, yeah, that's how it was. And we got a new semi that year too.
Yeah, that's right.
I spent a lot of money that year.
And then Eric wound up leaving. What year was that?
That wasn't until 2000.
Because he left and then came back, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he was there my whole time at Honda, and then I believe Eric didn't leave until like 2013, 2012 maybe.
Okay,
maybe 2012.
And that's when Bentley came, right?
Bentley took over that job, yep, and Dan did it until 2018, and then Kehoe came back, maybe 19.
That was a big surprise. I was like, "What do you? What?" Like,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, but
it was cool though. Luckily, me and Dan, I don't think, like I said, I was kind of a dumb
because Dan
kid.
Bentley went to Geico Honda.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And I started there so young. I was like 18, 19 when I started. And like I said, I was a dumb kid. Like a lot of 18-year-olds are, and didn't really know much, and had to learn a lot, and learned a lot from guys like Dan. And so I don't think he was my biggest fan at the time, but I had to kind of prove myself to him, which finally I did. And then, so when he became the team manager, and because he was kind of the engine guy before, and then I know that when I worked for Chad, I left and worked for Chad, and at that point I had to grow up a lot too, and get a lot more responsibility, and Dan came around to me at that point. So when he became the manager, he ended up hiring me back.
Okay. I was
going
going to
into
ask
the
you.
16 season. Yeah. So which is cool. Like, I'm glad we were able to I was able to get on his good side.
Yeah, that's cool. So you went to do the Chad thing. It was 3 years, right? 3 years? 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
3 years on Honda, 2 years on Cowie.
And you got to actually be a part of that thing, his last Supercross win, right? Because the last bike he won on was the Cowie.
Yeah. Which was 15 at Atlanta, I believe.
Okay.
And and Goose was his mechanic that year.
Okay.
I worked for Josh Grant.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think we were also Pirelli. So Pirelli won a Supercross that race.
Wow.
It was pretty cool. Because I don't think that had happened. Maybe it had, but
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to break into that Dunlop fold there.
Yeah, or Bridgestone, but they had been gone for a while. So
Yep. Man, so much stuff, dude. What was the last year you worked on the green bikes was 15. You got hired back at Honda at 16.
Yep.
And
I did a month-long stint at Factory Yamaha, which is cool.
Whoa. You got to tell me about that. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, that was because with Chad.
Okay.
Yeah, 15, they shut the team down. We spent the rest of the summer because we went 4 rounds of outdoors, and then they shut the team down. And then me and Shane and Dean Gibson, who all came from Honda too, we and Oscar Werdeman, we kind of ended up like selling off everything in the shop that he had out in Temecula. And then after that, Chad was working a deal with Factory Yamaha and trying to get in there. And he didn't really have a set contract. He had nothing on paper. They're just basically verbal commitments. And so we did Monster Cup. And so I went there. We tested a couple times. I worked there for a week or two. Then we went and raced Monster Cup. And yeah, I was a Factory Yamaha mechanic for that weekend. And funny enough, the truck driver was Mike Spraker, who was our...
Oh, no way.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's funny.
First time I met him.
Seems like Mike's been around since the early 2000s, but
he's been a lot
on
of
the
different
side,
things.
but
Yeah. But I'd never even met him before. I didn't know who he was. I think he was, he'd done a bunch of different things and driven for Langston and for moto teams. I don't remember how many he did, but he did a bunch of NASCAR or
he's
drag
such a
racing
unique
stuff.
dude.
Yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge up there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So anyways, yeah, we did that for about a month, and then at the same time, Dan was calling me, asking me about an engine position.
Oh, really?
And I probably
does that feel cool to you? Like Honda's calling me. They want me to do some somebody's got your number, like Dan. Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, we need Lars is the guy. Call him, right?
Yeah, maybe.
It's gotta feel cool to be honestly, be one of the guys that they want to have in the program.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember exactly how it was. Maybe I had called them originally, whatever. But I do know that Chad really wanted me to stay with him on the Yamaha, and I just had me and my wife had our son. So in 14 and very end of 14 December. So I was pretty keen to stay home and do something like that. And it just worked out. The Honda deal was like Bogle was going to race with Hutch as his mechanic. And so then they needed an engine guy because they had built an engine program at that point. They weren't just, we used to always just build our own engines as mechanics, but they shut that down because it was just becoming too much. It was, there was a lot going on with fuel injection and, the bike was getting more complicated, I think. And they were trying to make it just a little bit more of a high level,
get the specialty
program.
Guy in there doing it right.
Yeah, because to do an engine properly, and like the road race guys were doing it at a way higher level than we were, and they were measuring everything, and we weren't. Like we would measure maybe from the beginning, but we weren't checking. We would check cam timing and stuff like that, but we weren't CCing, the entire engine and checking, making sure that the compression, level was right. So. At the time, I don't even know, the compression ratio was probably like, nobody really knew. They're like, yeah, it should be this. And we're just bolting it together, There was a lot of that. But everybody was doing that. It wasn't like we were doing it any different.
Yeah.
It was just that,
hey, these bikes go in the dirt. They don't go on an asphalt track. It's fine.
And then we had Bob Reichman actually come from the road race side and become our in charge of engines. And he knew how to do it properly and really his attention to detail and his kind of QC, of all the parts was way higher. And so we set a new standard. And then anyways, long story short, we got a new engine program. So I became the engine guy for Bogle and for Hutch and took that job at Honda. So I worked a month at Yamaha, had one of my probably I'd say most terrifying, but I wasn't that bad. I was pretty confident in a meeting at Yamaha about, we had basically a meeting with Bob Oliver and Keith McCarty and Mike Guerra and Jim Perry and all the guys at Yamaha, all the top guys
around the table.
Yeah, like we're in a meeting room and they all were in there and talking,
staring at you.
They're and I had to tell them but a lot of stuff that I learned at Honda. I remember I was pretty confident. I can machine decent and I can weld okay. And I can do these different things and whatever. And they're like, you can do that? Because most mechanics, you don't really get a chance to do a lot. But because I had so much time in the test department and trying to learn and from all those guys, it was cool. I had experience, so, but it was intimidating because all those guys, the Yamaha guys that I remember from growing up, and Keith can be a hard ass and Bob can too. And they ended up being super cool to me. But I ended up not taking the job, and I ended up going back to Honda, which I'm sure they weren't too stoked on. But I know Keith, when I left, Keith was, hey, if you ever need a job, let me know. So it was stuff like that.
That's kind of
cool.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how did I think you touched on it a little bit. So in 22, did you see the team manager thing happening? Did Keo give you some signs and was it hey man, there might be something opening up. I don't know if you're interested or not. How did it go down early on? Did you have any inkling or was it a surprise?
It was kind of a surprise. Even when I took the crew chief job in 2019, I think it was 19, when Gothic J had it and he left and Keo offered me the position. It was I was doing special projects, so I was learning about data and working on the computer a little bit more to do kind of stuff like that, but I didn't know much, I was kind of learning. And then, so that position really was man, I had a cool gig. I had a nice gig where I was home on the weekends and maybe I was going to the races as an extra guy because we had Kenny on the team and we were buds. And, I know Dan would like that part, but at that point, I had a nice gig where I was basically home from the weekends and, home with the family and all that stuff.
Think about that right now.
Yeah.
32 weekends of the year, at least you're gone. Like, dude.
Yeah. But then it was like, hey, there's this position. I think you can do it, whatever. And it was just a huge commitment. It was like a big responsibility jump because, working with Japan, but it was also an honor that he would have, offered me that position. So I ended up taking that. And then that put me up into another kind of level where I was dealing with Eric more, and we were having like a lot more one-on-one time, and he was kind of like showing me a lot of things behind the curtain that you wouldn't see, which was cool. And just dealing with Japan more, all that stuff was pretty rad because like it's just getting trusted with a lot more information and like all this kind of stuff, and trying to make the bike better and race reports, all the stuff that I wouldn't have done before, so more learning in different areas. And then so when that came around at the end of 21, I didn't really know that Eric, I feel like there was some signs where it was kind of like pointing that he might not want to be there anymore, but I really can't remember. I do remember at Hangtown though, Jet won that championship, and we were there, and Eric, it was the last race, and Eric said, he said, next year is going to be really good for you. I'm like, okay. I'm like, why? What's going on?
He's like, champagne.
Yeah. And he's like, no, just, it's going to be really good for you. I'm excited for you. And I'm like, are you leaving? And then he's like, no, we'll talk about it later. And then it was like that. And then I was like, that was weird. Like, what's going on here? And then like, later that week or whatever it was, he's like, hey, as far as I can remember, he was like, hey, I'm going to be leaving, and I want you to do the job. But it wasn't up to him to hire me. Right. So it was Brandon Wilson. And so then anyways, Eric recommended me like highly for the position, but obviously Brandon did his due diligence to find anybody else that might be more qualified or whatever, or just, check all the boxes. And, so yeah, finally.
Like in the back of your mind, were you thinking like, are they going to gamble on me or not? Or do you like,
I don't know, man. I never really even thought about that as an opportunity. I never really was like, you know what I want to do? I want to be team manager, or like maybe this, and it was always kind of like, Eric wasn't. It's not like he was old, and he was really good at it and all that. And then there's all these other people that maybe would be a good fit. Mm-hmm. So it never crossed my mind that before that would happen. So when it happened, it was pretty surreal. And nerve-wracking and all that, but
so he said, hey, I think you'd be a good guy for the job. And then does Brandon call you? How did it go down there?
I'm sure we had meetings. It's kind of a blur right now exactly how it went down, but I'm sure
one of the coolest thinking switching of the tracks, and you're like, I don't know, man, it was so weird. It's such a blur, right?
Yeah, well, at that point too, I mean, we had meetings with Brandon. What I remember is that it didn't just happen. It was kind of like, yeah, maybe, Eric was like, yeah, you're the guy. You're like, I'm pushing for you. And the rest of the upper management was making me sweat for a while on whether I was getting it or not. And honestly, I was pretty happy being the crew chief, the team manager job. I think I knew that it was a huge opportunity that I might not ever get again. Mm-hmm. So I was like, if I don't take it, who knows where they're going to put in. Yeah. For one, he might not leave, for the rest of my career. Who knows? Yeah. And maybe it's some guy that sucks. Maybe it's some guy that we don't like. Me and Eric were buds. Yeah. Eric taught me a lot. And maybe they put in somebody from a different team that runs it a different way, and then it's, I'm unhappy or whatever. So, and it was kind of like one of those, like, man, it felt like an opportunity that I had to take. And if I didn't take it now, maybe I wouldn't get a chance again. Yeah. So from when you got the job, and then maybe a year after, did you go like, oh, this is cool? Or did you go, dude, what did I get myself into? These Lawrence brothers? Like, or like, what was it? Like, yeah. Cause it had to change a little bit from what from all the stuff that Eric taught you to where like, okay, I'm a year in now. Like, this is how it's going. Or dude, if this is going to be like this is easy, or man, it's going to get harder. Like what? Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, at the time,
probably Jet made it easy because he's winning everything. It's like, makes everybody look good, right?
Yeah. And then 22, I mean, was a pretty trying to remember 22. As far as, 450 was a struggle. We won races with Ken. We won races with Chase. And then, Jet was on doing his thing too. But I mean, the 250 is always going to be a struggle. And no matter what team you're on, you're at a factory level, especially, you're just trying to get the bike to be the best possible bike. And so trying to find the people that are good at that and dedicated and make the team, work together, on all of those kind of things to make the bike good. And then, dealing with, Darren Lawrence and stuff, who's awesome, but he can be a handful too, so, just trying to do all that. And at the same time, thinking back now, how do you prepare for that? Even before that too,
and you could have an inkling, right? Like, hey, Jet's going to be great.
Yeah.
You could have an inkling like Hunter's going to be great too, but not what was about to come, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not. And Hunter had so many injuries, and he honestly, I don't think he would be upset with me saying he kind of sucked at Supercross at the time. He'd never. He got hurt every time.
He didn't even do it that much.
Right. He got hurt a lot, and then for him to build himself into that, he didn't have that like immediate talent that Jet had, and Jet hadn't really been hurt at all. So there was that, and then Ken, who is like the gnarliest, baddest dude ever, but had his own stuff going on, and then Chase also, man, was a handful with, believe it or not. With all of his stuff going on, but massive talent and it was cool. All of us were young, like Ken was not old, and obviously I'm way older.
Yeah.
But and then Chase was young. Chase is younger than Hunter. So
we were talking about it earlier. It's like even now, Joe's older than Jet, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's wait a second.
Yeah. No, it's it's all that. I don't know, whatever, dude. It worked.
Yeah.
I don't remember how, but I must have. There was a lot to learn about not just how to manage, which a lot of that is having the right people in place. Brandon Wilson was like awesome. He's really, really smart, and me and him had communication always, and he had great advice always. So, a lot of the tough decisions or tough things like that were always run through him, and I learned from him. So,
he is really smart. I love how he stays in the shadows too. He never
Yeah.
But obviously, when that stuff was happening this year with the AMA and stuff, it's like, okay, they're coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
the boys from Atlanta are coming. But yeah, he's a super neat guy. Just super wise. And can apply the wisdom right, Yeah.
No, he's really good at putting things in perspective too, with the company and the race team, and negotiating. He makes me feel. He said he's had a couple guys in his past that have made him feel stupid, and he makes me feel stupid all the time. So
he's got a good poker face, then, huh?
Yeah. No, he's doesn't have very often for him. He said, but there's a couple guys at Honda that were really clever, and so he's. For me, he's that guy for me. So
yeah.
How
about Jeremy? Do you interact with him a lot, or?
Yeah, sometimes. Me and him.
Jeremy, Brandon's boss.
Jeremy Maguire.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about McGrath.
Jeremy Maguire. Sorry.
Jeremy Maguire. I interact with him here and there. Obviously, he just got promoted, pretty recently. He's above a lot more people now, and he's got in charge of. Brandon's in charge of 4 or 5 departments, so he's got his hands full for sure. And Jeremy is the same way, and just in another step up. So
yeah. But even just talking about that, your management, it feels like all you guys are on the same page. Whenever I see you guys talking and interacting and how they do stuff, it's very. It doesn't seem like when maybe meetings happen that there's any kickback. It's like, hey, this is the way we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. Yep. Check. Yeah. It feels like everybody's rowing the same direction for the most part. It's like you don't have a maybe an oddball, right? That's like, hey, I think we should go over here and do this.
Right. No, he's Jeremy is one of the nicest guys ever. He's super positive. he's incredibly smart too. And like the amount of stuff he has to deal with and then still make time. He's one of those guys that knows everybody's name. Like there's some people like that, right? As managers are really cool. They make you feel special for, even though he doesn't have to.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Right,
I think that's a whole, it's so maybe underrated for what those guys, how they interact with you and how they do their job, because they don't have to be like that.
Yeah.
But like, and does Jeremy even need to go to the races? I don't know, but he's at every one I ever see him at, like
hasn't been too many this year, or at least not recently, because he's got a lot going on. But yeah, he comes to certain ones that are important. Same with Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's rad. He really trusts. He has a lot of trust in Brandon. And I think he has a good amount of trust in me too, because it's almost always just support.
But I think that's what's, and I think I've told you this in the past, but I think that's what makes your team so good. And I told Christian this when he was on. It's like, maybe it comes Jeremy to Brandon to you, to your team. It's like you guys hire the right people, like they hired the right guy, and you empower your people to do the job. You're not micromanaging. You're not looking over the thing, I was talking about Christian and how like pro he is on the wrenches, and like, dude, I watched him do that shock swap and suspension swap at Unadilla when like Jet was ready to go, and he's like, and the suspension tech comes out, he's like, hey, we're changing the stuff, and he's like, dude, within 5 minutes there was new forks and a new shock on the bike, and he was waiting for Jet for the next practice, and I'm like, dude. And I'm like, I just do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Christian's one of the fastest guys ever.
But he's like, dude, it's methodical for him. Like it's like he knows how many times to turn the torque wrench. He's like, boom, boom. You're good. Like, it's crazy. But again, just going back to the, you empower these guys to do their job, and you don't have to like, hey, I've got the right guy for the job. He's doing what he's doing. I don't need to micromanage him. This guy's doing, like, the whole team feels like it operates like that. And it's really, and again, I'm on the outside watching, right? But I'm looking at it all happen, and you're in a different mode because maybe you don't even realize it. But dude, everybody is like, it's part of that Honda thing. It's like they're rowing the same direction. And like from the outside, I look at other teams, it doesn't have that same feel, right? It seems like they're maybe there for a job, where the Honda team is there as a family doing a job. And then after the race is over, they can go do their own thing or whatever. But when they're there, it's a different animal. Like, there's just a different vibe with the team. And I don't know if you see it or you feed that. I don't know, but it's a really neat thing to see.
I appreciate that. Obviously that starts with hiring the right people with the right personalities, which is a big thing for me. But we have great guys. I mean, I didn't go to High Point, because my wife's birthday, I'd never taken a race off like that. But it just was one of those things that I wanted to do for her, and I had no worries. Like there's nothing on the race day that I know that Hutch and Shane and the mechanics can't handle. Like they got their own. They're on top of their thing. The crew chiefs are on top of their thing. The drivers are on top of their thing. Like if there was ever any, big issue, I mean, Trish was there. Jeff Winger was there to help out if they needed to. We do have a good team like that.
It doesn't feel like there's a square wheel there.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, I'm not telling your job, but it just feels like everybody is on board, like nobody's like bucking the system or like this thing sucks or whatever, right? They're just, everybody's positive. And maybe that's because you guys are winning so much. I don't know. But I really think it comes from the top leadership, like you, Brandon, the crew. You hire the right guys and you let them do their job. And when that happens, dude, magic in a bottle. Because when you start second guessing stuff, that's when stuff starts going weird, Like I was asking Christian, I'm like, hey, dude, do you ever worry about not tightening the bolt? He's like, nope. I don't know if you watched that podcast or not. He's like, nope.
The whole thing.
No, dude, that's what I do. If I'm second guessing myself, I shouldn't be a mechanic. I'm like, simple as that. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
Just the mentality,
I haven't been a mechanic now in a while, and I've been to the truck now a couple of times because Hutch had to fill in for Cam with his back being hurt. And like you kind of see everything that's happening on build day at the truck and all that stuff, and kind of start remembering all your own routines and how you did everything like that. And like when the bolts are all spread out on the bench, like in a 150 bolts, whatever, and you can go through every single one of them and be like, yeah, that goes here, and you just organize them all quick, like boom. It's not a problem because you just know. I still kind of know, but there's somewhere I'm like, hey Christian, what's this bolt? He's like, oh, that's the new one for the skip plate or something, or like something we changed. But yeah, there's definitely like that whole routine and everything like that, and everybody has that, right? The engine guys have that too, but yeah, it's it starts with hiring the right people, which isn't easy. I mean, and we haven't had the same team, every year. We've had new people. We have a couple of new guys right now, a couple of really, really good kids and guys that are working on the team. So it's not easy. It's not easy, especially in this day and age. There's not as many willing, workers as there I think there used to be. There's more people that want to be content creators or like TikTok stars or something.
They want to do it until it gets rough.
Yeah,
and they don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. And yeah, when you get those guys, and we have a few of them that are just like kind of love it and willing to do it and have a good attitude. It's like, man, you want to.
But I think when you have that core, right, like you're talking about, the new guys see that. And it's infectious, right? Like they learn from the best guys, whether it's Christian or Hutch or whoever, right? Or your leadership style and how you do it. And I'm just in awe of it because it's like the team could be winning and you could be Cliff White, right? And you could be a jerk or whatever, but it's not like that. And nothing against Cliff, but it's just like your style is so laid back, dude. Like I think, Jet could be winning and there could be an earthquake and you'd be just like, yep, well, the fire drill's over there. We're going to do this. Like there's nobody's knee jerking anything anywhere, right? You remind me a lot of Don Sakakura, who was the boss for Yoshimura Suzuki Racing forever. And we used to call him Yoda because he was just like, dude, he's so level. Like he just very methodical in the way he thinks, right? But a nice guy, right? And anyway, I put you in that category.
Oh, thank you.
So
appreciate that.
Doesn't mean anything. I'm not anybody. So going to Honda, and I don't know if these are just your opinions. You don't have to get in trouble for them or whatever. I'm just thinking like, what do you think makes them do it? Like they spend so much money on racing in North America. Like it's a gigantic, if anybody looked at it on the spreadsheet, you're like, you're wasting your money. There's somebody at corporate Honda and HRC and investing in racing, American Honda, that sees what your race team does. And they're like, this is valuable for us. And obviously it goes up to the management. But I mean, just from if you had to think about it, like, why do you think they spend so much money doing what they do?
Well, I mean, first off, I have to say that we do have great sponsors like Yoshimura, and all of the people that we partnered with, not just financially, but product wise too. So, it's for me, it's marketing. Obviously, it's the whole thing, but it's not just that to me. Especially not when you know that Mr. Honda was all about racing. Yeah, so the company is rooted in racing.
But when you get to be a gigantic corporation, globally, you and there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of people probably that work for Honda around the globe. There's got to be a thing that's just like racing is part of our DNA. I don't like, and then I know you don't know the whole corporation and all that stuff, but I think just from your perspective, I'm just trying to think like, we've had Honda
years like
spends
that.
a lot of money, right?
I think there's been through economic times up and down, right, where they put in this certain person to be in charge, and they're like, why are we spending so much money here? Like this, and then they start pulling back and doing this and whatever, and I feel like Honda has been the most consistent probably out of pretty much all of the teams. Maybe Kawasaki is right there with us, but it's part of the whole spirit of Honda. Like there's a lot to motivation for the entire staff and people, and like I said, the marketing part of it too. You put it out there with Honda. Obviously, we're not just trying to sell 450 and 250 CRFs. It's across the board. It's power equipment. It's marine. Honda Civics and Accords and all that, and we spend, I can tell you, we spend way more money on IndyCar and F1 and GT3 or IMSA stuff and things like that, but it's branding, it's we get out there, and that's kind of what Honda does. And on top of that, another big part of it is the learning from racing that, we try all these things that we can put into production. That's always been the way, right?
What's neat's happened in the last, maybe like we've been talking about today, but in the last 4 years, 5 years, whatever, like they're actually implementing, like maybe there's been years of like it's fell on deaf ears, but there's a lot of communication between American Honda and Japan on what the production bike should do. And now you've gotten to the place where like, wow, they did all this stuff on the new 27 bike that's coming. Yeah. Wow, they moved this and they did this. And it's like, that's got to feel really cool to be a part of that part where like all those years when Kehoe was there or Bentley, like, yeah, the bike road like did this and that. And now it's like, dude, you guys, the bike's almost, the production bike's really, really close to what those guys are racing, right?
Yeah, and I would never take any credit for why the bike has become, like the guys that work.
But credit to the guys there's some kind of communication between you guys in Japan going, hey, there's valid points there. We need more communication. So like not only from the American Honda side, but at the Japan side, both sides are willing to talk and to make the bike better. Where it seems like maybe that was in the past might have been a lot harder of a nut to crack.
I mean, honestly, I think a big part of it is one of the negatives that came out of COVID, or one of the positives, that came out of COVID, is that everybody started getting more comfortable with like Teams calls and FaceTime or like Zoom calls. I guess most people would refer to it as, we use Teams, and so we can face to face communicate with the people in Japan. We do every Monday, and anytime we want to, we can talk to them and communicate. And and it probably has to do also with, we have an awesome staff in Japan that's really, really into racing, and they love it, and spend their own money to come over here to watch. Cool. And we have like that communication with them, which is probably encouraged, and more communication with MXGP. I mean, we never really talked to MXGP before, and I'm not sure if that was our fault, or there's the idea that if we talk to them more and we start communicating, you spread kind of like a virus, like like I say, or like
if it's wrong information,
or right. Like you're like, hey, are your guys struggling with the bike kicking, for example, or this and that, and then they start talking to them, and they start and then they're like, oh, I've lost the front before.
Yeah,
must
I didn't know there was a problem there. Thanks for telling us.
Yeah, like, and then so there, I think there is something to that. Like, you got to be careful not to,
But I think again that goes to your wisdom that you've learned through the years, and from your mentors that have come before you. Like, you've learned how to even handle that part of it, right? Instead of just throwing everything out on the table.
Well, yeah. I mean, try to. I mean, I think all those guys did a great job with that too, but it's probably all the communication with all of them. And like I said, the staff in Japan and Kumamoto, and the whole CRF development team, and HRC being more involved at the same time, they've just been doing a killer job, and they really do. This new 27 bike, I mean, like, to lose 10 pounds and gain 6 horsepower, it's quieter. It's got all these cool little things about it to make it better. And for example, like what you were saying is, they have listened to a few things, requests that we've had. The tank is a little bit bigger, not a big deal, but there's a lot of privateers that come, every year and go, hey, I can't finish a moto, that are heavy on the throttle, right? And our works tank is just a little bigger. It's like a liter bigger, not a lot. But it's enough.
But it'll just get you through the moto, right? If you have it.
Right. So this year, they made the tank the same size as the works tank. So any private.
But I think that's rad because they're listening to you guys, right? But there's some guy on the other end could be on a spreadsheet and going, dude, that's going to add a quarter pound to the bike. I don't want to add that, right? Yeah. So in the past, that might not have happened, but somebody's like, it needs the bigger tank, put the bigger tank on it.
It's usually not the weight, it's the cost. Okay. It's going to add a percent of a penny to every model.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like those guys in Japan that we've been dealing with, a bunch of them that have designed the bike, Morita and Hosoya and Takuya and all these guys over there. And our guy Toru, he's been really awesome because his communication is nonstop. He's a freaking workaholic.
Yeah.
And
is he in Europe right now? Right?
Like he's back in the GP.
Yeah.
So but he came from the GPs to help us, and Naoki Sarazawa has worked with us too. So we can ask him anything, and we can be like, hey, what about how about if we wanted a different transmission ratio? And then he goes and talks to the transmission guy and goes, oh yeah, he says that if you do this and that, and then it's just. All that is easier. It's like it used to be maybe harder, and I don't even know all the details. Like, I can't even speak for any of the guys before me, but it seems like communication now is better and easier, and they're more willing than ever.
Well, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. You look at that 27 bike.
Yeah, maybe it's because we're winning, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You get some guy, like I'm sure in 90, 95, 96, if Cliff told Japan that like Jeremy wants
somebody told somebody they needed a aluminum frame and Jeremy wasn't into it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they would have jumped through hoops for him, or did jump through hoops for him also. Especially Ricky and like stuff like that. So no, it's we're lucky right now. It's a good time to be involved.
For the people that don't know, and maybe I think it's still like this, but at American Honda, every 4 years your job changes, right? Or is it American Honda or is it in Japan? Because I noticed like. And maybe it's changed, but like every 4 years there was like the dual exhaust came, then it went, then it came. And I asked like, how come? He's like, oh, every 4 years there's a different kind of philosophy. Different engineers come in and they have their own idea how to do stuff. And, maybe this transition of the engineers that are working are just like, they're not moving and they want to stay and they want to see things get better than, oh, I want to go work in the car department or whatever. But man, it's cool to see that. The push and progression of like what's happening with the bike. Like how much better can a dirt bike be? Well, they're making it better.
Right.
Like you said, it's like, it's 6 pounds lighter. It's this much faster. It's like 10 pounds lighter. I got the horsepower and the weight thickness stuff, right?
Yeah.
But,
no, I think part of that is, maybe our communication about like what when we're testing and what we're asking for and what we're developing here. The airbox is very similar to one we designed at American Honda with Hutch and Darren Lawrence and those guys, and those guys that are in the Kumamoto design or development team have been around for a while, and so they've seen a lot, so that they're like building up to this. It's almost like they're motivated because we're doing well. I imagine
they see it working.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's cool. Like I said, we know them all. Like I know pretty much all of them by name. And spending time with them face to face in Japan, things like that, has really, for me, been pretty cool and pretty special. And
it seems like on the sales side of it, it's like Hondas sell really good. You go into a dealership, like, oh, we don't have any more of those. We don't have any more of those. Works Edition 250 gone.
Yeah, the Works Edition sell. They're always out. They're trying to get them, but they've done a really good job. 25 model was great. When they came out with that thing, it was a big improvement. So hopefully this one will be the same. But yeah,
are you excited about the new bike? I mean, obviously you haven't dug into it yet, but
we've dug into it. We just haven't really done much on track testing with it yet. But we've had it, for a while, and really started working on ideas for how we're going to, because we got to change some things to run our data, and certain things that we need to change a little bit, and then work on performance for our guy, for our guys. But there's just it's a really exciting bike. It's the most excited I've been about a model change, and we've had some cool model changes.
Yeah.
But it's just got so many opportunities, and it's the way that it's built is a little bit more simple. There's, like the shifter's longer. Yeah. Everybody's shifter is a certain length. Ours was always short. And we're like, hey, why is this always? Yeah. So they made it longer. So hopefully that.
Well, and I heard too, like the engine, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like the engine, like the engineers are like, hey, it still had the shape and the gears and everything for the Kickstarter. And it's like, why is this stuff in here? We don't need it anymore. Like then, and that's one of the things maybe that they like, hey, we can take some weight out of here. We don't need these gears or whatever. And they kind of manipulate stuff. It's like, seems like they turned over a lot of stones. Like, hey, does this need to be here? Why? Okay. Does it need to be this thick? Yeah. A lot of very forward thinking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, turning the engine around backwards, but
right. Yeah. I mean, I did, and when we were there for when 2020 3 when we won everything. And
Dude, what a year that was.
Yeah, and then we
You're
went
like, what did I step into?
Yeah, we went to
we can't
Japan.
do anything wrong over here, guys.
Yeah, that was an awesome year. We went to Japan for the HRC Thanks Day and met, and Morita, who's the LPL large project leader that over there, he was talking about designing the new engine. He's like, my goal is works performance but lightweight. And it was, so had all these ideas. He was talking about, and they were talking about, what do you think about 3-speed? What do you think about 4-speed? And these are all these other ideas. And then now, seeing the engine, it's just like it's so innovative that's the thing that I'm most pumped on. Like they thought outside the box. And like the old engine, like the one you're referring to, I remember being a little bit disappointed because the electric start of it was very old school thinking, or at least it's same as what like a 450X would have been in 2005. And I was kind of like, oh man, all these reduction gears and it's a lot of weight and this and that. So this one is totally, different. And for them to lose that much weight, they had to think outside the box, and the clutch is badass. And
but do you think thinking outside the box in Japanese, right? They don't, like traditionally they don't do that. They operate in a very safe box, right? And then, I mean, just from my knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like this is cool to see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of hard to, I mean, maybe that's kind of like
they take little tiny baby steps, not big ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, they are pretty conservative when it comes to certain things, but most of the technology that's happened and Honda's been the innovators in the past. And, it's cool to see them kind of get back to that, to where they're the first people doing something, and being able to produce a bike like this. So I'm really excited. It's awesome to see them in Europe racing that thing, and it's a prototype over there still, but they're putting it through its paces, and it's winning. And getting
thanks Jeffrey Hurlings.
Yeah. I mean,
that guy's
Tom's won a race,
Yeah.
and Fernando's been up there too, and getting good starts and all that. So it's really cool to see Jeffrey on it for sure.
Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit. World Supercross.
Yeah. I thought you were not going to have any gotcha moments.
Well, I guess too much is because it's a very complicated subject.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No.
So World Supercross, the challenges for American Honda and Japan, right? Like you're talking about a World Series where your employer is American Honda, and you sell motorcycles here in the United States of America. So a lot of people is like, hey, why isn't Honda participating in the World Supercross? Which, I mean, it's still, you could argue in the comments section there, but it's still unproven, right? It's not a series that's stable or making money. It's had a lot of changes over the last 4 or 5 years it's been around or whatever. And maybe from your perspective, like, hey, this is why we don't participate or why we can't. Your budgets are made and based on motorcycles selling in the United States of America, right? Not in Europe or South America or in South Africa. I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth, but
yeah, basically, like you said, we are American Honda. We have our budget to race here in the U.S. We are basically 80% of the market in the world, like the global share of Honda motorcycles. And for us, we have an incredibly strong series with a lot of events that we're not really looking to get more. If the goal is to sell more motorcycles, we have American Honda doing a great job doing racing there. We have HRC in Europe racing the MXGP series that they're doing a great job there.
And that's a World Series, right?
Right. We have all these strong teams. We have GDR in Canada. We have Yariv and the Honda Australia team down there doing their thing. We have Brazil that's really strong right now. Like Honda globally is racing in all these different championships and doing well in all of them. And so for us to take on the responsibility of going and racing in all these new championships that conflict with our current championships is not something that we're interested in doing. If there was a big upside to it, then Honda Japan should take that, and maybe when that gets proven, maybe they'll have something there. Right now, we have a super strong series. I mean, all the guys in MXGP, I shouldn't say all the guys.
Everybody, and
most of the guys, the Coonins are coming.
Do good in the world, you're going to come to the U.S. and race, right?
Yeah. Like I said, we have a really strong series when they combine Supercross and Motocross and created SMX. It'd be great if we could have 3 less races. I don't need to say that, too many more, or that many more times because we've already told everybody, that would be nice. It would be perfect, and doing some of the world kind of like off-season races are fun, But
and American Honda kind of foots the bill kind of for that because you've got to get the promoter's paying for Jet and those guys to come, you still got to get their bikes there, right? And
yeah, but we don't pay for that. The riders pay for that.
Okay.
If the riders are making money
for like the Australian Supercross or Paris or whatever.
Yeah. And even last year, we basically brought parts and built. The production bike is pretty damn good as it is, so we don't need that much to make it competitive. If we want exactly what we're racing with, then we ship the whole bike. We've done that plenty of times. But the bikes are so good now that they're able to build something. But the riders take care of the team. They pay the mechanics, they pay the shipping for those races. We don't pay for that. When we do nations, Australia is awesome. They pay. We send them an invoice for what it costs, and they pay. We do help.
You
them.
host a lot of other guys, like obviously Yoshimura for Japan right here, and
that was a little bit easier because it was here in the U.S. But yeah, even that, they help out to pay for the cost of driving a couple of semis, which is not cheap.
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff too. So yeah, it's for that, there's just really no reason for us. We're doing our thing here, and
you've made valid points. So you've got great race teams in a lot of different countries to help to support those markets, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and like I said, if Honda Japan wanted to do something, and maybe they will in the future, they'll do that maybe with the HRC MXGP team. I know Garibaldi's already kind of done that a little bit separately on his own deal, but right now, it's the traction we have here in the U.S. is just way too strong.
Yeah. Who would you say that maybe you learned your style from? Do you have a mentor? Do you look up and go, man, I looked at like a lot of how I do stuff is from this guy, or maybe 60% or 70% of it. Would it be Goose? Would it be Kehoe? Would it be like, where do you think you got your jam from? Or is you just pieced it together from all the people that you've?
Yeah, I would probably say that, I think my own temperament is kind of like that, kind of, to be mellow like that. That probably comes from my parents. And then, I think I just took a little bit from kind of everybody. I think I learned a lot from Eric Kehoe. I learned a lot from Goose, Shane Drew, Ron Wood, all these guys that I worked with, Cliff White.
Yeah.
Because the Cliff is a smart man, and I think when his style for management, he was kind of rough and kind of like, I call him Clint Eastwood, because he kind of had that that Clint Eastwood
totally
style, and he'd growl at kids and stuff like that. But he's awesome. But all those people, you see something in somebody and you're like, man, that's awesome. I like that. I want to take that part of that. Same thing with like being a dad, right? Like you see what your dad did and you see what your buddy's dad did, and certain things that were cool and you want to teach your kid. So try to piece it together from everywhere, but probably, if anything, the most of it I probably got from my mom and dad.
Okay. That's cool. If you're a fan of the Honda brand, as I am, you've kind of watched what the company's doing, and they had this big miscue on EV vehicles, right? Like it's not a secret.
Yep.
But I was reading this the other day, and I put it down here for quoting. It says, SUVs are obviously big, but motorcycles are for Honda are going big in emerging markets, right? And like I think you alluded to that with the race teams and what they're doing. So it's like Honda seems to be about motorcycles right now, right? That's what it seems to be about. And I saw this quote when I was reading this thing. It says, for someone in the motorcycle industry, this is a remarkable development. Honda today looks more like a motorcycle company funding an automobile transition than an automobile company funding motorcycles. I was like, wow, that's crazy, because, you think of, the motorcycles as such a small part compared to the automotive side, and it probably is. But with the way the economy's happened within the vehicles, it's like motorcycles are doing very well for Honda globally, and the automobile side's kind of like taking a dip. And it's kind of neat from a motorcycle guy's perspective to see, like, yeah, motorcycles, it's getting it's carrying the company, so to speak, as far as sales, right, and morale. So I don't know your thoughts on that, or if you even pay attention to that side of it.
Yeah, I like to see some of those statistics when they come out, or when we have our PSNP, meaning Power Sports Products Division meetings and stuff like that. That's some of the stuff that I don't necessarily need to be a part of, because when they're talking about sales and sales planning and like all these things, like a lot of it for me is not super relevant, but it's still something that I don't know about that much. I want to know or I want to learn.
Yeah. And like I said, it doesn't need to be in your wheelhouse, but it's kind of fun to look at this gigantic company that you're under their wing somewhere, and it's kind of like motorcycles. It's a shining star for them right now,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I know that we sell massive amount of cars, and that's where the money is, and yeah, we sell a ton of like scooters in like the Asian markets and in South America and stuff like that, which is probably where most of the profit is made, I don't think it's probably in off-road motorcycles, but we do well there, of course. I'm not sure. I mean, that it's a bummer, obviously the EV thing was so strong and looked like the future, and it to some point is. But it's kind of gnarly how, like in the U.S., like me and my wife went to go look for new cars. Our lease was up, and we were looking at a few different electric vehicles, and they're not even like all the companies are like they're not even importing. Like Volvo wasn't even going to import the electric. Audi's not importing anything. The market for EV has kind of died.
Yeah, and you like 5 years ago are like, it's transitioning 2030. You won't be able to buy a combustion engine. It's like there's been like, I think it's just the customers had this big revolt. Like they want range. They want to be able to drive whenever they want to, and maybe I understand maybe more Pacific Rim stuff is going more hydrogen, and I don't know, but it's just
my dad has a great quote that it's not even his quote, but my dad worked in alternative fuels. At the end of his career at Honda, and so he did all natural gas and electric and diesel, biodiesel, or researching all of this stuff, and hydrogen too. And he said that hydrogen is the fuel of the future, and it always will be. Wow. Because it's so difficult to make it happen. So, but the electric thing, I mean, also I don't think our government right now, that whole political side of it too is probably not super positive for that. So
I think the rebates or whatever have come back from electric vehicles, where like you would get all these kickbacks from the government if you bought an EV, and those are gone. Right?
Yep. So yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff for sure. But yeah, that's a complicated subject for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. We didn't need to get in the weeds on that, but
no, it's all good.
Your dad, just going back to your dad, I was thinking about he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yep.
He was on the first ISDE team.
He was on the first Motocross of Nations team.
Okay, he was pretty okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's
what year was USA as a Swedish person?
No way.
Yeah.
What year was that? Pushing me now.
75, 76, something like that, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, he went over there with them. Yeah, they never done it. So he had, I don't know, connections with everybody. He was one of the riders. It's kind of cool.
Oh, that's so rad. Yep. And then your dad invented the gunner gasser, right?
Yep, the throttle. Yep.
So before that, it was just it was like a leverage piece, right? That actually actuated the throttle better.
It was, well, the cable came straight into the housing and then stuck straight out front of the motorcycle, made a giant loop around. So you can imagine. Oh, I
remember the old Huskies had that big, long,
all the bikes. They came straight out the top of the housing, like around the throttle tube, and then went straight out and made a big loop around. So if you rode off-road or anything like that, or you tangle somebody, that thing got ripped, boom, thing's gone, you're done.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he came up with Whirlpool throttle housing, so that it would come up and go straight, make a 90-degree left and down into the motorcycle, which was a big deal. And then, yeah, that kind of revolutionized that side of it. Yeah.
And that's the way a throttle assembly is made nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, four-strokes don't really have a Whirlpool design anymore because of the way that the cable works, and it's a pull system. which it probably doesn't have to be anymore, but it still is. Yeah, it's he changed that,
Changed the game.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's cool. Did your dad ever tell you that he's proud of you?
Yeah. Yeah.
He does?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
And that's not really I doubt that's like a Swedish thing to do.
Yeah.
It's just not like something you do.
It's a dad thing to do.
Yeah. But he, like I think that like the Swedish style, the way that you you don't really say "I love you" in Swedish. Like it's just not something like here in the U.S. Everybody says it. You say it to your kid every day, whatever. But there you don't really have a word that like sounds correct. At least not that I'm aware of. Where you can tell your kid like every day, I love you. Like see you later. You just don't do it. So I guess it's more of like you just show it in other ways. I guess I don't know, but but also like it's another funny one that my dad has about Swedish men, where he's like, it's kind of the same type of thing where he's like, there was a Swedish guy who loved his wife so much that he almost told her. So it's kind of a similar type of saying.
Well, that's cool. He's stoked at what you've done. That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, dude, I look at the Honda team now, and it's like it's the best Honda team that's ever been. You can argue till the sun comes down, but dude, that dynasty that happened in the 80s was for like 4-5-ish years. You've already eclipsed that.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about it. Well, one thing I saw that was
like people are going to look back now and go, that's the Lakers, or however you want to, like that's the team. Like those are the golden years for Honda. Maybe 20 years from now,
Yeah, maybe we've talked about like the current bikes that we have. It was kind of cool. Like Dave Arnold and Cliff and some of those guys and whoever. I guess it was mainly Dave that was in charge back then. But like they saved a bunch of the good bikes. We have those bikes, and that's not normal for Honda. Like usually
the stuff gets crushed.
Yeah, like the next year you need to build test bikes, and you salvage the parts out of that one. And I've tried to save as many as I can each generation, at least, of a bike, so we have a good example. But like 2001 going into 2002, our 2001 engine was awesome. Our CR250 engine was awesome. It was the same basic engine from like 87, 88, from what I can remember, what I can tell. So it was refined all those years. It was badass. And then 2001, 2002, totally new engine design, case reed induction rather than cylinder, and a little bit more of a road race type of theory too, and more top, whatever. But the thing never had the bottom, like in Supercross.
No matter what.
Yeah, like 2000 when we worked with Mitch, and in 2006, 7, those last couple years, we got it pretty damn good. And Mitch reckons it's the best one, he thinks. But that works 2000, 2001 engine, and it's the same engine that Jeremy had basically in the 90s. Once we got like that thing with like electronic power valves, which I think was a big deal, because we had it the way it was working at that time too on the factory bike. That thing was so good. And then we had all those parts and mag parts and transmissions and so many
good for
things.
Nothing.
Me personally, I destroyed them because I had to.
Yeah.
And just smashed them with a freaking hammer and threw them in the trash, because we couldn't have that. And so I don't think we saved anything. Like nothing. We didn't, like now, like when we go to this new generation, I'm like, all right, we're saving like a certain amount of stuff to like, for a good example for the future. Cause I can only imagine in the future, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, somebody's going, I want to build a Jet Lawrence or a Hunter Lawrence replica. Like if we have a couple we do actually, because when we won championships, we gave one to the rider and we made one for ourselves. So we do have an example of every one of those, which is going to be freaking bitching in the future. But like some of those parts too, we're just, going to be a little bit more careful. I'm a bit of a hoarder though, so I got to be careful. But yeah, those kind of things are interesting to think about. If in the future it's going to be like that, it's hard to think about at the time. It's kind of like taking a picture, like yeah. I mean, but then later on you see the picture later, and you're like, man, I'm so glad I have this picture. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, we'll get to pictures. I think what's cool about, again, your position, we talked a little bit about, but just like the fact that you've done every job on the race team, dude, you've done it all. So like nobody can come to you and go, Lars, you don't know what it's like. It's like, oh yeah, I do. I'll tell you what it's like, right? Like you've done every job, right? Like basically,
I mean, I was never really, I kind of did a couple a little bit of chassis suspension or chassis stuff. I worked a little bit with like Dave and Arnold and stuff, but suspension, I didn't really get to do that much. I did a little bit of like, I was going to be servicing and doing that, but that kind of ended pretty quick because they hired somebody else to do that. But I was kind of filling in. And then I have driven the semi.
Oh, great.
Yeah, with my buddy Chris. When he drove the Factory Connection truck in like 2007 when I worked for Kevin. I stayed with him. He drove the 250 semi, and then Wilson, this other guy, drove my trailer. I was the only one in that truck. It was pretty cool with me and K-Dub. And but I would go with Chris in the other trailer, and I think it's fine to say now, but yeah, he would let me drive the thing all the time.
That's awesome.
I probably drove 3,000 miles in that thing, and learn how to shift and do the whole deal. And it's kind of cool when you go with the drivers during the week and see their week. I always have sympathy for them too, or empathy, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Is like, dude, you know what those truck drivers go through. You know what the mechanics go through. You know what I mean. There's so many aspects of the job where like maybe you haven't done it or you've only skimmed on it, but you know what it takes, and you know the dedication that position takes. And it's like, how many people can say that they worked their way up and did that, right? And it's like, it's just so cool that you have respect for all those guys on your team. And so it's that adage too, you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? And yeah, it's just cool to see that you respect all your team members, if I was going to ask you, like, one guy that's overlooked that does a job that's really needed that nobody pays attention to, like, would you be able to think about it and go, oh, that's this guy, or that's what this job is?
I got a few. I mean, the whole engine department, they're working in the shop, Monday through Friday, and the amount of work that they do is huge. Ezra, our engineer fabricator that we hired, doesn't really get much credit, but he does a bunch. Our parts guy, Todd, there's just so many jobs. The drivers probably are the biggest ones, though. The truck drivers, they're gone from home for more than anybody. They drive the trailers, trucks from 30,000 miles a year, maybe, or whatever it is, give or take, from what I can remember. And they have to do so much, they just driving alone, which that's for them the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
They get to drive a killer truck, and they have to keep that truck looking perfect, functioning perfect. They got to be mechanics for the generators and the air compressors, and when something breaks, they got to fix that.
I just think just the responsibility they have driving, like they're driving the team. They're
right.
like,
it's a giant
the tools,
billboard.
the bikes, the everything. They're in there. It's in back of them, right?
Sure, yeah. And I mean, they're responsible for us as for the brand, like there's a giant billboard on the side. So if they do something stupid, they're probably going to get called out for it. And that's the fun part, getting to the truck, getting to the next race, they got to find a safe place to park. They got to wash the whole thing, which I've done a bunch of times with them, and it's
there's that respect I have for you again.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
dude, that's like, no easy job. Like, there's water spots. Like,
yeah. I mean, well, luckily now, like, for a long time now, we've had DI water, so you can just rinse and that's sweet. But I mean, you wash your car, right? It's not that fun. And then you wash 15 cars, and that's washing a semi, it's just massive. And then, you
got to wash the awning.
Yeah, that, and I mean, just keeping the whole thing clean and then, during from the week prior, the people that have been in the truck, and I will say that the hospitality truck, gets the most traffic with people that don't really care, and no fault of theirs. It's just, let's say a goggle guy or a gear guy or,
you're pointing fingers now, buddy.
Yeah, or a sponsor. No, but people that just they're in the truck and they're out, and not that nobody doesn't care or doesn't respect the trailer, but the tech truck has the mechanics all day, the mechanics and the crew chiefs going in and out. Hardly anybody else, and they know what their job is, and they take care of themselves and clean them after. The other truck doesn't, so it's kind of like that driver has to take care of that whole trailer. And John, I'll give him a shout out. John Rottenkamp.
That dude's stoked.
Yeah,
he's
awesome,
so stoked to be a driver for Honda, man. Like, got the tattoo on his leg, all of it. He's like, I'm serious, man. I'm in.
You got to have passion to do that job, man. Yeah, it's a lot. And same with Mike Spraker, and it's you're like I said, you're away from so long. You do so much that the job never really ends. It doesn't. There's always something to do. Yeah, and whether it's. And keeping the truck clean is huge. John's got to cook, for the riders, and
they never stop, dude.
No, it's a lot.
And if he does stop, he's over there working on somebody else's Starlink for him or whatever, right? Like
Spraker is like, dude, he is the IT guy. We call him. He's got so many nicknames. He's meteorologist Mike. In our team meetings, he tells us how the weather's going to be, and he's usually right.
He's got some great conspiracy theories too.
He's got stories for days, for sure. Yeah, but most of them are he can back them up. So he's got a lot of experience and he can do any. If you need anything fixed, like I said, Wi-Fi's out. He's on it.
Yeah.
Like he's the audio guy. Like he's audio video. Generator broken, like he can do all that stuff. And so both of those guys, if I had to answer that question, it's those guys don't get enough credit because their job really doesn't end that much. I don't really want to pump up John too much because then I don't want to hear it later. But
he's going to be listening to this podcast on the truck too. So
but yeah, so Mike and John on the road, it's a tough job.
Let's switch to Yosh. We've been team partners since 2006 when our first official year was with you guys. So it's been a couple of decades. Why do you think, I mean, I have my own ideas, but why do you think it's so easy to work with each other as far as it's funny. I don't consider ourselves a sponsor of the team. I think we're a race partner because I think it's like-mindedness. It's like a sponsor just pays you money, right? Here's money, go racing, right?
Yep.
I think as a team technical partner, where it's different even than a handlebar company, right? Like we're busy making that motorcycle try to be its best as it can, right?
Right.
I don't know. I just from your perspective, maybe what makes that relationship work over the years. Obviously, you weren't at the helm back then, but you are now, and it seems like every time we re-up our deal, it's like, okay, here's another 3 years. All right. Everything's cool. Fix the money. All right, here you go. Like, it's that easy. And it's like people are maybe on the other side. There's like, no way. I'm like, well, the lawyers have to kiss it or whatever. But it seems like it's just like the way it should be. It's like, it's a handshake with some paper involved.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the reason why is because, you talked about everybody pulling the same direction on the rope. It's kind of like that. I consider Yosh to be the factory Honda of pipes, or of exhaust systems and other things, and so I think when we originally went to Yosh, the quality and the fitment was a huge part of it. Like we had other brands that we before would, you're filing them out and you're trying to make it fit. Everyone's a little different. So the QC part of Yosh was a big upgrade. And then obviously the performance, all three of those things basically made it a no-brainer and no real reason to switch. I mean, you guys are obviously, we're both California companies. And so the communication has never been an issue. The R&D has never been an issue. The amount of work that you guys are willing to do to develop a new pipe and,
that's Ichi and his group, man.
Exactly.
Like, dude, he's nonstop.
He looks a little stressed back there today, by the way.
He's always stressed. Unless he's going fishing, then he's good.
But I mean, I think it's you guys have a long history with racing and winning, and so I know that I made a joke earlier to Yusaku that in like 2000, basically all the 2000s, the road race team. I mean, Yoshimura Suzuki was the thorn in their side, whether it was the bike being better or the riders being better or a combination of both. I mean, that was, you guys were the team to beat, so
that was some golden years of superbike racing too.
Yeah, for sure. But so all those reasons, it just it's obviously being a sponsor of HRC or MXGP team too, so that we could all work together collectively. It makes a difference too. I think it's and then originally being somewhat of a Japanese company, it makes sense. I think all of that is why it works so well and why there's no reason to change. It just makes too much sense.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really respect about the race team all through the years. It's like, you see the sponsors that have been a part of the team and they've been there for 10, 20, 30 years sometimes, like Renthal's been there forever, right?
40 years.
It's like, what? We don't need to switch, it's not about a check. It's about the performance and the support you get from that,
Yeah.
I think, I learned a long time ago, like when you're chasing dollars, you shouldn't be worrying about that as far as a sponsorship goes, right? Like race partner.
Yep.
Let's get to contract negotiations here.
All right.
Where are we at with Tate Lawrence?
Tate, we were talking about,
because I heard he left.
No. He's still contracted for the team. Yeah. He gets pulled in a lot of different directions and he's wanted by many, many teams, but I think I've always given him the option or the opportunity to switch if he can prove to me that they're serious.
Okay.
And he's got
and so far he's not proven that, or is
the other teams have not come through with any promises. They've been pretty unfulfilled, in my opinion.
Okay.
He's got
is he lacking commitment on his side?
No, I think they're lacking commitment on their side.
We need to get this thing done.
No, this thing's is locked and loaded. We'll renegotiate at Daytona like we always do in 27.
Okay.
But currently he's under contract and he's got, it started with a a TRX 90 quad. That was the first motorcycle in his deal. He became.
Is he staying in four wheels?
No. He became a professional on the TRX.
Okay.
And he really showed us what he's got there. And then we switched, and Darren really pushed him to start using a clutch. He was riding a 110.
Okay.
But then he pushed him to learn how to use a clutch, which he did. So he had a CRF 125F.
Okay.
And so he rode the crap out of that thing, got really good at that. Switched to a CRF 250, which was the 230, CRF 250F.
Yeah, the air cooled.
Yep. And then most recently, he's been our brand ambassador and test rider for the CRF 300, the new 300.
Okay.
And my goal was, they had said that there was a possibility that he would have a Class 2 race at Loretta's. He was all jacked on it, and they were pumping him up. And I don't know if you know Steven that rides. He's kind of got a little bit of a star deal.
Okay.
And so he came to the farm and they rode together, and Tate kind of had him covered. So we talked about him racing Loretta's.
Okay.
And he was going to be our CRF 300 factory rider. And and no BS, I was going to set him up to be like the guy.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get a class together, I think it seemed like. So he's still on the team. He's still a rider. He gets
there's no friction. Like if he does try to go to another race team, or his brother, is there going to be friction within the family, or is he has to ride Honda?
No, I mean, no, there's nothing like that. Like I said, if he can get a better deal, I think we give him a really good deal. If he can get a better deal and they can prove that to me, and he really wants to get out, he's got
an option.
He's got an option. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a couple kickers in his contract.
All right. Well, hopefully he's running Yosh on his 300, right?
I got to check on the 300. I don't know
if he's not. We're in massive
breach of negotiation or breach of contract. Right. Yeah. Well, let's look at that.
All right. Well, I expect a report back next week.
Yeah. No problem.
Let's talk about music. You're a big fan of music, right? I recently went to the John Bonham Led Zeppelin evening.
Oh, I was supposed to go too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you were, because so I became friends with Jason. Sorry, I said John. And he's like, man, let me get you tickets to come in, get backstage and all that stuff. I'm like, so the show was just insane. It was so good. I was asking people around me, and they're like, I'm like the youngest guy there.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's all these old heads.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy. But they're like, yeah, I've seen this show like 4 times. This is the best one it's ever been. And I'm like, dude, that's cool, because I feel like I've been in a Led Zeppelin concert,
Yeah.
But we went backstage, and Jason was just like, oh, dude, Lars was supposed to come, but he had a kid thing with his kids.
Yeah.
And Troy Lee was supposed to come, but he's at the Indy 500. And it's like all these guys, and it was just me and my wife there. And it was so sick, dude.
Yeah.
But we talked a lot about you, and he, I guess he goes out and hangs out with Hunter and Jetson a lot at the farm when he can.
He's Florida.
He's a full-on dude. I didn't realize it, but he was Team Green, full-on hot amateur property, 1980, 79, one of the UK's best riders. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I had to. I think we were talking about this on Maki's podcast, but he's like, yeah, when my dad passed, I either needed to do motocross or I needed to become a drummer. I had the fork in the road type of thing, right? And it was like, wow. But anyway, just thinking about music, and it's just so funny how it's hand in hand, and just, you know, every time I go by the Honda semi, it's like there's music blaring on the speakers. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are a pretty young team, and we have a lot of freedom with that kind of stuff, which sometimes I think I'm like, all right, like even I like need to tell the guys, all right, we're going to turn down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because, and some of the music, and most of us, especially like Christian and Cam and stuff, and me and maybe Hutch, we listen to like basically metal. Yeah. And a lot of times, not all the time. And so yeah, that is kind of funny. That's like that, but it's awesome, isn't it? That like guys like Jason Bonham and
he's huge, such a super fan, dude.
Huge in his industry and all that stuff, but loves moto. So like it's cool. I think it's cool that we get the opportunity to even kind of hang out and bro down with these guys, and they like what we do, and we obviously have huge respect for what they do. And even like this past weekend at Redbud, Justin Hills from the band Sleeping with Sirens, I've got to know him. Big moto fan. I've gone to concerts with him, you know, at Forum last year, and some of these things in Parkway Drive. A lot of these bands that have respect for what we do, you know, it's awesome. It's really cool to get. I think this job opens up the opportunity to meet not just them, but Formula One drivers. You know, Liam Lawson. We were hanging out with, kind of teaching him how to ride when we were at Lawrence's like a couple months ago, and Daniel Ricciardo and a bunch of the IndyCar guy, Marcus Ericsson and me are kind of buddies now because of moto, and they're into it. You know, the IndyCar driver, Indy 500 winner from Sweden. So it's just stuff like that, like in Jason too. You know, it's rad that, you know, we'd never get the opportunity normally. Yeah. Right? So and dude,
when we were talking, it was crazy. Like we were sitting there for like 20 minutes just rapping about moto, right? Like full moto, nothing about the show at all, right? Like, hey, how's Jet doing? Like he's just asking me all these questions, right? And then so I see this guy come into the door, and he's got his luggage, and he's like, hey, your wife's waiting outside. And he's like, she needs the keys. And he's like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. We're talking about moto. And he's just like so into it. It's so rad, you know, like, I don't know. It feels like he still rides a lot. He still stays connected. He's into it.
His son Jagger rides a ton. He lives out here, and he's improved.
He's a singer for a band too, right?
And a guitar player, I think. I think he does both. Yeah, but he's he lives in closer to Hollywood, I think, and he's got his own band and all that stuff. But he motos all the time. He's got a Works Edition 250, and he's getting pretty good.
I actually saw him, and that's when the first time I actually talked to Jason. I saw him at Anaheim 1, and I'm like, hey, Jason. And he turned around, I'm like, oh, good, it is him. And and Jagger was there. And we started talking, and I sent him an exhaust pipe for one of his bikes. And it was an early on one, like a first prototype. And his dad was like, we talked there for like 15 minutes. And then Jagger comes up, and he's like, dude, my dad felt like a rock star. Right? When he got this pipe, he thought he was a factory team. Like, that was the coolest thing, like when it came. So it was really cool that, I don't know, kind of cool stuff you do for people. Like you take it for granted, but like he didn't, you know?
Yeah. That's cool.
It's pretty cool to hear the stories, you know?
Yeah.
Just a couple of things here. Some thoughts. I think we already touched on this, but your Honda team that you're managing being the best Honda team ever. That's, I mean, dude, it's there. It's, you know, I mean, we're going on the 6th year now of domination, I should say, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're going to talk about that, we can't talk about that without mentioning the Lawrences. You know,
for sure.
Without them, we wouldn't be anywhere near. I mean, that first championship with Chase on the 450 was super special. And then even, you know, Joe winning the SMX championship and trying to get him to win this other. But I mean, Jet winning 10 championships in just 4 years is unbelievable. Hunter winning, you know, the championships that he won, and especially 250 nationals is insane. And then almost winning the Supercross one, you know, and then now for this other. I mean, the Lawrences have done so much for us that it's hard not to give them.
They're great.
The credit.
They are great. There's no doubt about it. But just as we were talking earlier, it takes a team, right? Like if you don't have the right team of people around those guys, it doesn't work, right? Yeah. So I mean, I just like, they're awesome, but I think they would probably say even like it's the team that backs us, right? Like they couldn't do what they do without the right people in the right places.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
right bike.
Maybe. Yeah. sometimes I struggle with that when people say that, because I was there in those years that we had other guys in charge, Eric or Dan or something like that, and I don't think that they did anything really wrong or different, or with the bike. And me,
Okay, when it clicks, man.
Yeah, maybe, but I just think about how smart Cliff is, and how smart Eric is, and how good he is at being a manager, and so much better than me in so many different areas, that it feels disrespectful for me to try to take credit. When, if they were here, the Lawrences could be winning with them. Maybe.
Dude, that's what I love about you, dude. You're humble. That's the way to look at it.
Realistic,
right?
It's our team is cool. Maybe they needed this freedom that I give them, which is probably, but I said, sometimes too much.
But I think you know how to pull the ropes too. I don't know how to put this. There's a fine line, right? It's Honda's race team. You're the team manager, but you've got these superstars on that race team where they could, I saw it here with James Stewart, right? With our team, like at one point, like a little bit of the cart was before the horse type of thing, right? And so like, whose race team is it, right? But I got all that to say, like, you have to corral these gigantic personalities, athletes on your race team, and the people that are involved in it. That's no short order to do. And then I'm not taking anything away from Kehoe or Bentley or any of those guys that came before you, but I don't know if they could have done it. Like they're unique dudes. You understand them and their dad and the circumstances that are going around. Like those guys never had to race 32 races a year. I'm just.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
I'm blowing your skirt up a little bit here. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's
and I don't see those guys like, hey, I'm not going to High Point. You guys got this. That's confidence in your team, dude.
Yeah, I think the hardest part has been knowing how much freedom or leeway to give to like Darren. Darren's been involved a ton. At some point, we kind of got to put a foot down and go like, we can't do this, we can't do that. But I don't think that it's been like maybe in the past. People would have been like, hey, we're in control. We're not doing that, whatever. And maybe you could call it that I've been, a pushover, or I've been like giving them too much leeway or whatever. But I do think that all of those decisions came with a lot of thought. And, at some point the riders got to be happy and they got to believe. And Darren's the best at getting his guys, his sons to trust him and believe and all that. So, that's why, we have to work closely with him, and I give him a ton of credit. Just this past weekend, he saved the day, by, letting us know that he saw on TV that the rear wheel locked up on Hunter's bike, and it wasn't a malfunction of the motorcycle. It was just something that happens when on a motocross bike. So there's like a lot of that, I think, is you got to work with them. You don't got to, but you working with him and the team and the family and all that stuff, and bringing them really in and making them part of the team rather than just,
I think a guy like Dazzy Darren has earned it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Dude, look what he's.
But trust me, he's got some crazy shit.
Okay, well that's for another
Darren,
podcast.
That's with a lot of love, Darren. But sometimes we need to
the craziest people need to be brought in. Like, you can't just let them run.
They can either make some big progress that you otherwise normally wouldn't make because you're too conservative, or they can make the sink or they can sink the ship, I guess. But I feel like that's where we work together well, and balancing that is something that has been something.
That's what I'm saying, right? Next question. We'll get off that quickly here. One rule that you'd like to see come to Supercross or motocross?
I want super pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't even hesitate.
Yeah, it's been one thing that I've been thought about. And I've told the Feld guys, and they know about it. They want to do it too. It's kind of one of those things where I think the people that are...
how would it work in your mind? Like
this? Okay, it would work like this. You do the qualifying and normal practice. You're qualifying 2 qualifiers. Then you go into the night show. And I know that that Feld wants people, or, like for the entertainment side of it, they want to see the stars first, but then that makes it hard because if you go do 450 heat races, then you go to 250, most people that aren't super fans a lot of people that aren't super fans, I shouldn't say most, are like, oh, okay, like we just watched the gnarliest guys in the world. And these guys they're like the junior level. Like that's what people would think, right? And then they'd be like, let's go get a beer and get a hot dog and we'll come back for later. That's my opinion on how that works. And except for the super fans that are actually watching and know all about it and are into it like you. But the way that would work is instead of having like the long, in my opinion, sometimes drawn out opening ceremonies, because they don't do the cool videos. Hopefully they will again, but like they used to, like now they bring out top 10.
Yeah.
Right then you would bring out the top, let's say 5. The 5 fastest guys from morning qualifying get to go to Super Pole. They come out for the opening ceremonies, and I guess you bring out the previous year's, champion or something like that, and whatever. But
he might be one of the 5.
You normally will be, right? But anyways, you do that, and then the 5 guys go into Super Pole. And the first time people see riders really riding the track is the best riders in the world, but they're on their own. So then they do their 1 lap, and you know how it works, right? Like they do 1 lap, and while they're doing their fast lap, the other guy's warming up on the track. So when the guy crosses the finish line, you go, he did a 57.2. The next guy's already in line to start doing his lap. There's no lag. Like obviously, like anybody, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to wait around and be like, okay, what's going on next? You want it to be like bang.
Yeah.
So then the next guy goes boom, and as soon as he starts going, the other guy's doing a warm-up lap, and he's kind of over here in the shadows, right? This guy's doing the lap, and that's just the way it goes. And then the fastest guy gets the first pick in the main, possibly even a couple points, if that's what the riders need to really haul ass, Or
you could do a Super, at the end of the year, you could do a Super Pole championship, right? Like
maybe, yeah.
Hey, after the last 17 races, this guy has this many points, and it's everybody likes another championship, don't we?
But you could be like, hey, if you win, you get 5 points. You get second, you get 4, and then 3, 2, 1. So you just making Super Pole, you're guaranteed 1 point. And then after that, 250 heat race. First time people see actual people battling, and that's exciting because you haven't seen that yet. So that way you get best of both worlds. You get the 450 guys going first and the best riders in the world. You get to see them on the track, and then they do the 250 races. 450 guys come back and they do heat race, and then the show is normal. Yeah, I think that would be pretty sweet.
And then for the Super Pole, is the track completely groomed?
Yeah,
like it's as good as it's going to be. Yeah.
Bitchin', like they have the track perfect, right? Anyway, so you do that, and then and I guess the benefit of being the fastest qualifier, you go last, and then the track is a little bit broken in, maybe, and then also you want to have that spot. You got to be fastest in morning practice, so it's benefits you both ways. Like that. I think that would be cool. Yeah. Yep. And maybe not even.
And it wouldn't disrupt the racing that much.
No,
like the normal main event or the heat races.
The morning or the evening program would start off and basically be the same. I don't think that if you did it right, it's like a 8-minute deal. So
and it would be exciting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't even know if you would do it at every race, but you do it like 5 times a year, maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe if it works good, then you do it every race. I don't know.
What do you think's coming in the next 5 years for the sport?
Hopefully 3 less races.
Yeah. Do you see something on the horizon?
2 less Supercrosses, 1 less motocross, maybe.
Do you think that will ever happen? Like, do you think they'll put less races?
I don't know. I'd like to think that with everybody,
it just seems that goes against the the machine, so to speak, right? Like
but hopefully with the enough people pushing that direction and them realizing that the riders need some time off, and then that will keep the sport going longer in the future anyways. And maybe there's other ways to capitalize that aren't necessarily just racing more. Maybe there's other events we can do to offset that don't necessarily need all of us to be in part of it. I don't know. I know that the one of the cool things about this whole partnership and SMX is just doing something different. It doesn't have to be the same thing that we've done forever. We did Triple Crowns. That was new. Now it's normal. Yeah. Like a Super Bowl thing, that could be normal. Super Bowl's been around forever. They did it in World Superbike in the 90s. Like it's not like it's not like we'd be ripping off World Supercross. They ripped it off from everybody else. And, so that's kind of like, that's like saying Supercross itself, is a ripoff. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else would be coming that, would be, I don't know. Good question.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I got some pictures here and then we'll end this thing. Just some fun stuff to look at. All right.
Is this something you do with everybody too?
Yeah. Just fun, something to look at, right?
Yeah, that's last year at Mammoth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still like to throw a leg over a dirt bike?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, not as much as I used to. With like probably just the amount of time that I don't have. But this was a fun trip. We kind of did it last minute. My buddy Steve Edwards was going up there with his buddies, Rad and Huff Fine, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go up there, and me and my wife and my kid took my Ridgeline and my little trailer and pinned it up there and raced for the weekend. Yeah, and then we were in the campground in our little trailer, and it was cool. We had a good time.
That's cool. Yeah, that's rad. I love this.
Yeah, it's a bummer we don't do that anymore.
Oh no, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, that used to be.
I was going to bug you, Saku. Like the problem is, like it's every weekend now.
Oh, dude.
So like, just leave the banner up.
I think that's why it's not there anymore. 23, the thing they kept having to put it up, and Trish, that works next to me, would be the one. She knows everybody at Honda, and she'd have to call the lady and be like, "Put up the sign again." And the facilities guys would have to go put the sign up or the banner up, and they'd take it down on Wednesday maybe. So then they'd put it up again on Monday, and they ended up spending they spent like $250,000 on this giant sign
Towards your when you're leaning on the vehicle.
Yeah. $250,000 on a giant monitor that's like apparently super bitchin'.
That's cool.
It's huge, and it's
inside the lobby.
It's inside the lobby there, but
okay.
You have to go in there to see it. And then there's a killer picture of the win ad, and and all that stuff, and it says Honda wins.
But you need to send them our win ads.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they do their own, right? Yeah. So, but the cool part about this is that we don't always go in the big building, Building 100, but you can when you drive in, you see it. Mm-hmm. So you look over and see the sign there, and it's cool,
Yeah.
So a little bit of a bummer that they don't do that anymore.
All right. Well, we need to get Carl Pulley or somebody over there. Hey, let's put this sign up every time. I think it's cool, dude. Like, it's an effort. Like, it's an effort to make the win ads and stuff that we do, but it's so important to celebrate these wins, man. Like, just because it happens every weekend doesn't mean, you know.
They do it, like I said, they do it even better, but it's just that we don't see it from the outside.
Yeah.
So
maybe just a permanent sign. Honda dominates.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the 2.2 semi.
I thought that was a cool look.
That was a cool look, yeah. That's 2012. That's the same bike year.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a cool year. That bike was really good. We had that thing dialed. Chad loved that thing, and the whole look of the bike and all the little parts that we made for it, like these little carbon fiber wings for the exhaust, and like there are a bunch of really cool parts. And we had that thing dialed pretty good, and that's Red Pants year too.
Red Pants year.
Yep.
I knew it. There it is.
Yep, there it is. I mean, that's the Gunner Gasser. Yeah, that's the design right there, and made in Sweden. They would cast all the parts and do all that, and then ship it here in crates, and then we'd put it together in our garage.
Oh, wow.
My dad built a little assembly line. It was pretty bitchin'. Like he had 10 housings and like 3 different little like boxes with left side throttle tube, right side housing, and then he had all the screws laying on underneath like on a little bench like this, and then he had a electric screw gun that was hanging on a weighted pulley system. So you'd pull it down and go boom, all the way down, all 10, so you'd have to do 20 screws, I guess, for 10 of them. And then when you're done, you could just throw it up and you go up in the roof and cause with the counterweight. And then you go to the next spot and then put them in the bag and the sticker and the bolts and the little cover. And when I was a kid, we'd had to do this. And
I was going to ask you, did you have to assemble?
Yeah. We did
the
that.
Assembly line.
Yeah. There was one person usually doing the housing and putting it together. And then one person, you'd have like, it was Folgers coffee cans with like all, the one side screw the nut, the little plastic top, the to cover the top here, and then the rubber boot and whatever, and a sticker, and this sticker exactly.
Yeah.
You slide it in there, you know, and then make a little bag out of it, and then it would send. And I remember the one thing that I remember too is it'd be like 2 in the morning, and you
Of course it was.
well, no, you hear the fax machine go off, and you know, when it come out, and Dad would come out and rip it off. And my mom did a bunch. My mom worked her butt off with this, and it would be like Tucker Rocky, you know, or Al Baker maybe. I don't know, these
Southern
companies
Imports, whatever. Yeah,
they would be ordering them, and we'd have to go to UPS and that whole process. I remember being a kid, just like, oh my God, we got to go to UPS and stand there and wait in line with Mom.
Wow.
Yeah, funny.
Old school.
Yeah, that's a cool picture.
So just a quick note, I was going to get you one of these jerseys. Like, I found one. It's a Honda line one, and it was this era. And I'm like, he's probably got one. But
we had those, and I haven't seen one in a long time. But yeah, obviously my dad in the middle. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I've seen some, but obviously Cliff and Dave and John R. and I'm blanking on his name right now, but Brian Lunas. And then all the riders too.
That was the 1980 team, I think, right?
Yeah, that's probably 80. That's John R., right? John Rosenthal. I never worked with him, but he's the Yamaha guy after this, from what I can remember. And all the riders, was that Marty Smith?
I just love that they got jerseys on, and then somebody have jeans on. This guy, I had the leathers on. Like,
yeah, that's funny.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, like, again, just thinking about Honda and these golden years, and I'm like, dude.
This wasn't even, they hadn't even got the golden years yet. I actually hearing about it more from, like, especially from Dave Arnold, and from some of those guys. I mean, they had a lot of struggles in like the late 70s and early 80s until
when the CR came out, it was the bomb, right?
Yeah. Well,
and then 2 years later, Yamaha came with the monoshock, and it was like,
right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then they tried a bunch of stuff. They had a bunch of really trick parts, but you know, I don't think that they had tons of success in these years until they got to like the mid 80s. Because even like 84, the bike was probably or 85.
What about Ormar's Mugen Honda?
Yeah, those were bitching too. Yeah, but did he win a championship on it?
No,
I don't think
not.
so. But 85,
it was cool though.
85 CR250 was like the most trick CR like ever. Like we have one.
The production rule was in 86. It came.
Yeah, so the 85 was like the most factory one. It was badass, and we had one down at the shop that Hannah raced, and apparently it was kind of a turd. Like it was so fast, but it was hard to ride, and they didn't really like it. So it had all this super trick stuff. Even now, when you look at it, adjustable linkage pull rod locations, and like so many cool things that Dave showed us all this stuff and knows everything, tie, aluminum, everything. Things badass, but apparently didn't really work that great. And then 86, they made that rule to like calm Honda down on how gnarly they're making everything. And the 86 ended up being just way better than all the other production bikes, and then they really kicked ass.
Oh wow!
From what it seemed like. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I like hearing all those stories from not just Dave but Cliff. I still call Cliff once in a while for like advice on how to, solve problems and things like that. And just to talk to him.
Those guys have a year for you,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Cliff is, I have a lot of time for Cliff. He's awesome.
That's cool.
Huh. Yep. It's
a long time ago now.
That's my family. Yeah. That's, dang, what year would that have been?
Probably 18.
Yeah. Something like that. He was born Henrik was born in December of 14. Heidi's born in December of 2006. So, and Heidi is, she's my stepdaughter. And then, so I met Jen, she was already 8, I think. So, but anyways, and Henrik was born in December 14, like I said. So that's probably 18, something like that. Yeah, that's, we haven't done another family portrait. So
you're always gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we just need to plan it.
I was just going to say, it's cool. You're a family guy.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're talking about taking the race off for your wife's birthday.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's cool to see you're not a robot. You're not like racing is everything.
Yeah.
I'll die at this racetrack.
Yeah. No, that's another thing I tried to learn from the guys before me is trying to spend the right amount of balance, and sometimes it's hard. It's hard to give them the right amount of time so that they're happy and that they're not feel like they're getting neglected, or if I'm at least not spending whatever. But it's hard for the guys on the team, in my opinion, to like, if I'm not there and they're like, what the hell?
Well, I need a weekend off too.
Yeah. Like what? Yeah. So, so all that is something I try to balance, but right now,
I think it's cool that Cam has a back issue and Hutch jumps in.
Right.
Hey, I'm not going to be there. You guys got you have and again, it just seems like a really well-oiled working family, right? Like it's not everybody's on board to help and pitch in, right?
Yeah.
Like Hutch just jumps in like, I got it.
Yeah. And I think even the guys that some of my bosses back in the day, Chuck Miller,
Great dude.
Yeah. Awesome guy. He, him and even who else was it? Even like Wes McCoy. I never really worked for Wes McCoy, but I know him, and they were always about, hey, like family first. Eric too. Was always like, hey, if you need to take some time off to fix what's going on there or do whatever, and then do it. It's more important. So I've had good role models like that.
That's cool. I like that photo, you guys.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, MC. That's at Castillo's. That's 2004. That's and that is on that ramp jump, I believe.
I think it is.
Yeah. And that was cool too, because Jeremy,
like they if you guys don't know, this Castillo's Ranch had a freestyle ramp, a metal ramp, all pushed in the back,
built by Pastrana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pushed up a normal ramp, but pushed up so it's extra steep, and the landing's way up high, and you end up basically stalling out and landing with like no speed. It's the most bitchin' jump. It's so cool.
I remember seeing a lot of videos of it, but I think Cudby took this one.
Cudby was there, yeah. Cudby I rode, and they did a Dunlop ad on the one thing, and I have a big poster of it.
Oh, that's cool.
But this was cool because the CR250, and the jump was kind of gnarly. There was other gnarly jumps there too, and Ernie wasn't afraid. He was jumping a bunch of the stuff and just play riding and having fun. And he'd never jumped this jump until probably in this picture, maybe 10 minutes before this picture. They were kind of showing him, and it's intimidating, even the best guys.
So pro, dude.
Yeah, but even the best guys have been intimidated by this jump. I mean, I had to, I got used to it because Ernie showed me how, and I had to tow guys like Wyndham off of it, and then whatever, because it right off the first bat. I mean, Kenny wouldn't jump it until he finally, Cole Seeley was like, I'm out. Now Cole Seeley would jump and anything, but anyways, he jumped it for the first time, kind of normal, and literally the second time just throws the most badass whip. Yeah. Just instantly. I just saw it too when he was going to get ready for that jump.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He jumped it the first time.
Once, and he's like, okay.
And then a killer knockdown.
And then second time.
Yeah.
Okay, he's ready to go.
I think he's 10 years older than me. So
54.
It's 54. Yeah, he's 9 years older than me. So yeah, 54 years old doing knack. It's awesome.
One of the coolest dudes. Yeah. I love MC.
Yeah, that's when Dave Arnold got inducted in the Hall of Fame. Me and my dad went. Yeah, that's my dad. And I blew out my knee. No, I didn't blow out my knee. I just got my knee fixed. Because I did blow out my knee at the freaking trampoline park on my kid's birthday. Stupid. But it was already kind of jacked up. So I got my ACL fixed that time on my good knee. But yeah, I didn't really, my dad's known Dave Arnold forever. And they are buddies and have talked and all stuff. I didn't really get to know Dave until a little later because he was at Honda R&D, production development. And that's another thing. We weren't involved in production development at all. And now we are quite a bit. But it's also because Honda, and we should have been because it was right next door basically.
Yeah.
But Dave was in charge of that at the time and all that. And I met him a couple of times, but I missed that kind of that golden era of working with him, and even the 90s when he was helping with McGrath and all that stuff. But then I got to work with him at some point when we hired him to come and consult and help us with some stuff. So then I got to be really good buddies with him, and now we're, I talk to him all the time. He's awesome.
That's cool. I've heard he's kind of like a genius with stuff.
Yeah, he is. He's got he's smart, and he's a little bit of a, I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but he's like, not eccentric. He's not that, but he's just a little different, but he's awesome. But he's got the biggest hands ever. You shake his hand, you're like, dang, dude, you got some big old hands.
Oh, you and your dad.
Yeah.
It's a great pick.
Yeah. No, that's cool. There's Tate. That's I'm not sure if that's when we'd signed a deal. I don't think so, because all our deals have been signed to Daytona.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not Daytona.
No,
maybe that's up the
farm.
That was the pre-deal.
Yep. Yeah. Then maybe that was when we talked about it. That's a while ago. We were still Fox at the time. So yeah.
maybe the first contract.
Yeah. Negotiations probably. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we were literally doing a handshake deal and then we signed the deal later. But yeah, we got a full contract with them. So
yeah.
The third brother, the third Lawrence. Yep.
I don't know how you do it, but you just bring in the stars.
Yeah, that's a cool picture. That's 2011. That's the first year.
I thought that kit was so ridiculously good, dude.
Really?
That shift gear was so next level.
Yeah, that looked good. He looked great all the times. I mean, he basically designed everything or picked everything himself and gave direction on what he wanted for gear and bike graphics. Me and him would go to Factory Effects in the Valencia and sit there with the guy and go all right, I want this and that. And he would ask me my opinion too, which was cool. Cause I was into it also. But yeah, he was always good. I thought 2012, the bike and gear, and 2013, he didn't like the bike, but the bike looked great and the gear looked great. And man,
did the chassis change that year?
Yeah, 13 was a new bike. Yeah,
okay.
Dual exhaust.
Oh, that's right. When
he wasn't a big fan, but he was also not really happy with Honda at the time with the way that his contract had gone down, I think. So it was kind of a combination. Plus his knee was kind of jacked from the 12 that never really healed right at that time. But yeah, he wasn't a big fan of that bike. So
that's cool. There's those red pants.
Those red pants.
That's the only reason I grabbed that photo.
Okay,
I just thought it was rad. Like, just the way that team looked was so sick. So you saying that's 12?
JT too, huh?
Oh, that is JT, huh?
Yeah. That's
Butler Brothers.
That might be 13. That's 13. 12 and 13 we had red pants. 13 we had this look, which was cool. Like a little more black in it, but yeah.
That's it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, so dude, thanks for the talk.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me in.
I think it's something that, it's so cool to have somebody you like the accomplishment, and you can brush it off all you want, but like the stuff that you've accomplished in the last, well, your career really, and the fact that you just wound up being the team manager of Honda at this pinnacle time.
Yeah,
and you think about like, dude, you can't write this script. Like your dad being the team manager in 79 and 80, and here you are doing it, and it's such a cool thing. So I appreciate you, and thanks for the partnership over the years too. It's so good to just be on the same page. It feels like we're partners in racing, and that's really the way it should be.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. So best of success in the rest of the year. Something tells me you're going to win another championship. I don't know. I'm not going to count chickens yet, but
I appreciate it. Hopefully you can win too. That would be cool. I'm really,
we got to power those 250s up.
Yep. We're working on it.
Put some Red Bull in the radiators.
Yep. And we just need to figure out how to get some starts. And I don't think it's all power. It's cause this weekend we were there, and Joe rode. So that is the goal. If we can win another 250 title, along with a 450 title, that'd be awesome. I would love to see Chance or Joe. Obviously, it looks like Joe right now has the upper hand, but win a title, a national title, that would be really special.
Cool.
So,
all right, man. Well,
cool.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, tell everybody about Lars, all that stuff. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. See ya.